Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
Got the wrong guy, and the dog was biting him.
He roughing him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
9 out of 10 judges prefer watching the Recovery Addict live stream in their courtroom.
The fireworks are not done.
Now we're getting commentary on the paper. Dati mihi Anglican po yung verbal from C.
Is that correct?
All right, as I wipe the last of lunch off my face, am I still wearing it? Okay. There were some leftover fajitas in the fridge, and what I did is I took the leftover fajita, all the peppers and onions and some chicken, and I threw that on the flat grill, and then I made an omelet and put that inside the omelet. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's going to be nap time this afternoon for sure. Welcome back to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. Thank you very much for joining me today. Thank you all. I see everyone has taken a seat on the front row. It looks like everybody's on the front row. I'll tell you, I asked my wife, I said, is it okay if I put chicken in an omelet? I'm like, well, it's actually just chicken and chicken. So it's like chicken wrapped chicken. But it was really, really tasty. Welcome back. We're about to get underway, actually. I'm a couple minutes late because I was we call that a griddle. It's a flat iron electric cooker. Is that a griddle? I thought a griddle was like a flat pan that you put on the stove. That sounds strange, says Krista. You know what sounds strange, Krista? You know what sounds really strange? You were first in chat. Krista was first in chat, and you just said S. That's all. Krista, you know what happens when you're first in chat. First in chat, every time we go live, gets awarded, punished, or sentenced to internet ownership. And so that was you. And so I'm going to punish you with internet ownership for the rest of the day. Congratulations, Krista. You have to take care of everything IP related worldwide, but with the lightning bullets. Hang on, Krista. I'm gonna throw you under the bus here, Krista. Are those lightning bolts, or have you been talking with juror number 1? Have you been talking with juror number 1, Krista? Are you throwing shade at Sally Smith? Don't do it, says Krista. Don't do it. I'm just saying. I would looked over the report. Where Mrs. RA and I are probably going to talk about do a live stream here very soon. Maybe tomorrow even, right? Yes, I went there. So maybe he's my grandpa. That's awesome. I was looking over this report again, and it blows my mind every time I look at it. I'm like, is this thing real? And I think I know what happened. The defense was like, or the plaintiff was saying to the judge, probably in chambers or something, judge, they've lost it. They're off their rails. You can tell by their filings that there's not a collective brain cell amongst them left. Something to that effect is how I envision this went down. And the defense looks over at Mr. Anderson, looks over at Whitney and says, "Oh yeah, really? You think that now? Hold my beer." And then we get this, and so we've got this filing. I can never write the letter S again. Yes, apparently. That was awesome, Krista. That is a funny thing. Hope you don't mind me poking a little fun at that. I see the lightning. It looks like lightning to me, but maybe if I squint and look at it right, it's. Don't change your name now. I think it's amazing. You had this before the defense had even heard of Reddit, so you're good. All right, I was just going to type "hold my beer." Yes, that seriously, they're trying to one up each other. It's like, whew, man. Melissa's like, seriously, you went there? I did. I'm sorry, Krista. Thank you so much, Krista. Wonderful supporter of the channel. Look at this, Yellow Courthouse by your name. At least 6 months of support. I don't know exactly how many it is, but been here for at least half a year. and it's been wonderful. It would not be the same without you. Thank you so much for being here. All right. That said, we have court coming up here in just a moment. Let me get my. Let's see what we got. Let's see this. There we go. We have some 15 objections so far, but Krista, thanks for being a good sport. Almost 8 months. That is really cool. Let's see, just a moment. If defense is on time, we have either 8 minutes or 15 minutes, depending on where the defense lawyer is at the moment and how bad traffic is or whatever. Adam says Krista is one of my favorite new members. We might have to get Krista on the podcast. Krista, do you have a device that has a forward-facing camera and internet connectivity with a microphone? Because those are the 3 things you need to be able to be qualified to be a podcast guest. That'd be amazing. But all right, a phone. Yeah, a phone works. Phone works very well. I think that's what Adam and Red Pen used when they connected to the podcast. So we might put you on the list as well to be a podcast guest or make a guest appearance. And it won't have to be like a full. She better have the internet. She's in charge of it. Yes, that's also a key requisite. All right, where we are in this trial, this is the citizen's arrest murder trial. This is Hannah Payne is being charged with 7 different charges relating to the death of a driver in a hit-and-run accident. He struck a semi-truck, stayed around for a little while. Hannah Payne witnessed that accident. Then he left. Hannah followed, called 911, was told not to follow, continued following, ended up cutting him off and like pulling in front of him, so he had to stop, confronted him at the side of the car. An altercation ensued. Details, we don't know exactly what happened, but an altercation ensued, and during that altercation, a firearm was produced that she, we believe she was carrying legally, even if she had just recently gotten her concealed carry permit. And there was a struggle. The firearm went off. From the evidence we've seen from the ME, there's some indication that the firearm went off while it was inside the vehicle in some way. Just from the location, from how far down on the body the wound is, from the direction it traveled, it would indicate that that unless he was doing some major Gumby type maneuvers in there, the firearm was in the vehicle when it went off, which supports the defense motion in part that there was a struggle over the gun, and as he was trying to take the gun, it discharged, and he ended up, as she said, shot himself with her gun. Had it not been there, he wouldn't have shot. It wouldn't have happened. But this is what we've got. The injury was such that he did end up passing away from it. She's now facing a whole bunch of charges related to this, and we've had some witnesses, and I think this has been my favorite part because the witnesses all are 100% sure of what they saw in most cases. For most things, they saw it with their own eyes and they're sticking to their story, and none of it matches perfectly. There's no puzzle pieces that you can just, this witness and this witness you can just set together and look at that. They're perfect, and their stories mesh and fill in all the circles, and they're not there. There's conflicting evidence, and even some of their stories might not be consistent with what we see on video. So there's a lot of stuff. Out there. Creative B, Debbie says, what does your shirt say? My shirt says, everything I learned about law, I learned from Matthew Harris Law. This is the shirt you can actually buy from his channel. I like to think that was my idea for the shirt. Matthew, you'll have to tell me if that was or if I just stole it from your shop. But Matthew Harris did an amazing little primer to watching true crime, and he released it just yesterday. And he does a shout out to us in that video, and he did a great job with it as well. But if you're confused about trial or understanding the American court system and want just to get up to speed with what's happening and how it works, oh my goodness, 10 minutes of your time is all it takes, and suddenly you can be a law expert like the rest of us. Jody Steed, welcome to the gallery. Thank you so much for joining. Wonderful. Now you can never leave, just so you know. It's a one-way door. You just came in. It does not. There's no exit, unfortunately, but welcome. It's wonderful to have you. Interested in the case Brandy's watching also. She has an interesting one as well. I think that's one out of Texas, right? Lots
There's a lawsuit.
lots of crazy crimes going on in the world. Have you guys noticed? People are doing crazy things and getting caught doing it and charged with it.
Scratch all that. Oh, that was terrible. I apologize.
It was terrible. If Angelique, if the gun was in the vehicle, how did the shell get outside the truck? Angelique, I've been looking at the pictures. I think the gun that she used would we know it's a Springfield. We know it's a 9mm. I think it's what's called a Hellcat, which is the model of the gun. It is a compact 9mm semi-automatic. What that means is the gun, if you take the traditional shape of a gun, it doesn't have a revolver that turns and cycles bullets in front of the hammer that they can fire a projector down the barrel. Instead, it has a top slide. We've heard the slide mentioned several times. The slide goes back and ejects the current shell and feeds the next one in. And as fast as you can pull the trigger, it will shoot as it feeds ammo up through the handle.
Is that correct?
Through the magazine. This compact gun has a very short barrel. So it's a small gun, and it has a handle and the top slide. And as it ejects, when it slides back and ejects the shell, it does it with a lot of force, and it flies back and it throws that shell, and it can bounce all over the place. It can hit something and ping, 10, 15 feet away. It can roll. It can go all over. So it's not a problem for me to say the shell landed outside. I would love to hear if there was a shell inside. That might be very telling as well. But if the officers can say where they found the shell, or if they didn't, I don't remember. Melissa says, "RA, I'm trying really hard to make a decision, but I'm stuck with the fact that she pursued him. It was a poor decision. I think it was a poor decision, and I'm looking at it thinking, is it one I would also make? I like to think that I wouldn't follow the same process all the way through to the end. But would I also be so stupid as to be like, hey, he's driving away, I think I can get his plate? And would I do it the same thing? I mean, by show of hands, how many of you would, if that's all it was, just pursuing to get the plate, how many of you would do that if somebody was leaving the scene of an accident? Jody Steed, by the way, welcome. Great to have you here. One more time. All right. Another arrest in the Crystal Rogers case. Kind of sort of in a way says, I worked at a bank. Once a month, the manager would run out of her office as a non-robbing customer was leaving and tell us that the person robbed us and write a description. They were always different. Okay, what I'm hearing, kind of sort of in a way, is that your manager would accuse good patrons of committing felonies on a regular basis. That's what I heard. But no, I think that was like a training exercise. It's like, quick, what do you remember about the last person you saw? Write down everything you know. Lat Cali Girl says, I fell asleep when the refreshed memory witness came back. Can you tell me what missed? Yes. The evidence that we got on the cross-examination of that witness mostly supported the defense in that there was a two-way struggle before the firearm was pulled. That there's some picture evidence that the witness wouldn't really admit to that's what we were looking at, but you can see like a shirt being pulled down and a bare shoulder, which would indicate, I think a reasonable person could assume that there was some sort of tussle where the shirt was being pulled. But it was back and forth, that it was two-way, the exchange, going at it, pushing, shoving, whatever it was. And that the basically the firearm came out after everything he saw was after the collision between the two vehicles had occurred. So after the initial stop. So yeah, interesting stuff. There might be more, but chat will fill in the details. We're hoping we're a minute late, and the judge is not back yet. So. Witchy Mama says, all right, I'm stuck on the 911 operator asking her to get the tag. I've asked all my teens and 20s kids, what is a tag if you asked for it? What is the tag if you were asked for it? Over 50% said the paper the stickers comes on, not the plate. It's a local thing, Witchy Mama. Tags, a tag or a license plate, they're called different things in different areas. Get the plate number. Get the car ID. It's the tag is just the way they refer to it down there. Interesting fact: in Georgia, you're not required to have a front license plate. And I don't know if that's the law back in 2021 back when this happened. Was it 2019 when this happened? But the only place that you can get the tag is on the back. So it makes it easy for pursuit to get it, but makes it harder for some red light cameras unless they're catching it from behind. Okay. Was in the wave pool. The lifeguards had 2 drills where a guy faked drowning and pulled 2 people out of the water for real in the span of 45 minutes. The guy faked drowning. Not cool. Not cool. Have you seen the video of the lifeguard who blows the whistle and is like, "Hey, everybody at the pool. So there's a small thing. We need to take a break. I've got a small potty break I have to take care of." And then he gets down. He stands in the pool for 45 seconds. Then he gets back up and blows the whistle. And he's like, "Okay, everybody back in the pool." Have you seen that one? Do we get to see a photo of you dressed up for your date tonight? Maybe, if I can convince Mrs. R.A. to do that. No front tag in PA, and no front tag in North Carolina either. They don't do it. You can't get one. You get 1 license plate, and that's it. There are some states where it's illegal to not have a front tag. I think in Utah is one of them. But yeah, unless you're registered out of state, and then they sort of give you a pass as you're traveling through. Love predictive text. Shirt, not spigot. No front tags in Tennessee. Kansas doesn't have front license plates. Front and back in New Jersey. Pennsylvania only has back. Georgia, we still don't have front tags. Let's see, none in Indiana as well. So as you can hear, we don't have front plates in Indiana, so I drive everywhere backwards. Adam, that's a great solution. Wonderful. I love that you're thinking outside the box for that. All right. Lots and lots of messages here I'm trying to get to the bottom of. My mods are hilarious. They're amazing people, but sometimes they laugh at me a little bit because they'll catch something I say out of context. There's something I said just in the stream between now when I started and now that out of context could be very, very wrong. Very wrong. You guys don't know what it is because you heard the whole thing. Yes, Amber, you're busted. I'm reading mod chat. Let's see. Semi truck out of Utah, no back plate on the tractor. The semi trucks are different because you're almost always pulling a trailer, and so it would be obscured. But there are different laws on trailers. Sometimes you need a license plate on a trailer, and sometimes you don't. I think all the time for commercial you do. But Amber is calling in for confessional. Should we give her a pass? Amber, what's up?
Hi. That is so cheating. Your bubble doesn't show that you read the chat.
Oh. So you thought I wasn't reading, so it was safe to say what you said. But now you know I actually see all the messages, whether it acknowledges or not.
That's cheating.
Yes.
Yeah, but see, it's almost like a personal battle to see who can get you to break face on live with something we say in mod chat. Between you on mod chat and Mrs. R.A. in the studio, you guys all like to put me in a tight spot. Now, could you imagine if we got Mrs. R.A. in mod chat with us? No, I'm not gonna authorize that. Not going to happen. I just had to call because that wasn't fair. You're cheating. I did cheat. I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad at all. Matthew Harris saying that I did inspire. Let's see. Mrs. R is here as Homeschool Ground Zero. Matthew says I did inspire the shirt, which is cool. Let's see. Homeschool Ground Zero. Hey, Recovery Addict. My clothes are in the dryer. Just saying. Okay, so last time we went on a date, I needed to unwrinkle my white shirt.
And so I grabbed it out of the closet, and where it had been, I think I'd wadded it in a tight ball after it had been cleaned and dried, and it was just full of wrinkles. So I got it wet, and I threw it in the dryer. Well, I would have just thrown it in the dryer, but someone had put other clothes in the dryer. And so I had to stop those and pull the wet clothes out and put my clothes in so it would dry. Turns out Mrs. R.A., who also was going on the same date with me, had put her clothes in the dryer. And so there I am. My shirt's all dry. Wrinkles are gone. I'm ready. And I look at my wife. I'm like, hey, why aren't you ready? She's like, my clothes are still wet. And it turns out they're just sitting in a basket in the laundry room and not in the dryer. So this is what she's doing
on
here.
You.
Yes.
Shame on you.
Yep. I'm in trouble. Anyway, I think she forgives me. I think she does. Anyway, she hasn't filed.
Well, now there's no excuse.
She hasn't filed any paperwork.
She's just alerted.
Yes, I have no
now
excuse.
She's just alerted 1,000 of us that her clothes are in the dryer.
Yeah. Yep. And they better come out first. If my clothes end up through the dryer, they better be after hers.
Mrs. R.A., I will continuously remind him every 30 seconds, for Goldfish brain.
In mod chat. Thank you, Amber. Appreciate it. If I haven't said so already today, I am so grateful for my mods. They are incredible people. They are incredibly generous with their time, and they put up with all sorts of crap from me and other people. And thank you so much, Amber. Court's about to start, so we got to let you go. But thank you.
All right.
All right. We'll see you. Bye. Okay. Perfect timing. I just want to move that mic and put it in front of the judge. That's all I want to do is just move it right up to her mouth.
Okay, certain. To resume. Will the judge, I would like to approach Mr. Trevor, place something on the record, but I'd rather it be at the bench, please. Okay, certain.
On the record, but at the bench. That means we don't get to hear, but the court clerk is going to write it down. Downy wrinkle release is great. It sounds like it requires forethought, Judy. Spray wrinkles and shake. Just spray wrinkles and shake. Hey, is it that easy, Colleen? Last time I heard about like a miracle clothing related item, I think it was Tide. Tide had come out with a pen that designed for college students, that they can pick up like a smelly shirt and just like color over the stains and then put it on and be good. And you didn't need to wash it. That's the last time I heard that. I'm not sure if it ever took off. I obviously didn't buy it. I'm not a big believer in that. I think actually washing is, serves a good purpose, but. All right. We've got another call. I don't know who this is. We'll wait.
Call from?
It's Nadine.
Hello, it's me, Dean. How are you doing?
Nadine, yeah, I'm okay. How are you? I'm still sick, but glued to your channel.
We've just got a moment before court starts. What do you have to say?
Yeah, I know. What I wanted to ask is funny. Is this George your family? You have...
My family's awesome. I love them. They're amazing. Do you like the judge as well? Is that what you were saying? Oh, I lost her. No. She's gone. I'm sorry. We lost the call. All right. Turn the mics on just enough to hear there was something funny in court.
Unless you could bring the jurors in.
Bring the jury. We should be on our next witness now. We just finished.
Unless you could bring the jurors in.
Oh, why am I hearing both? Let's see. Oh, I have a duplicate. That's why. I'm running two feeds. Which one's first? Which stream would you rather we watch? Would you rather watch would you rather watch this one or this one? We've been watching this one, so that's what I'm used to. I see you, Amber. Oh, wanted to know if the judge is your family. She's very nice. I'd welcome her in.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope your lunch was good. and they are ready to listen to the additional evidence that will be presented this afternoon. Chief Assistant, you may go ahead and call your next witness.
The state calls Detective Tracy Moore.
Detective Tracy Moore is coming in. So Chief Assistant ADA and Assistant ADA. So we have two ADAs and one defense attorney. Stream whatever has better audio. This one I've got all the setups on. The bailiff took her drink. Did you see that? She had like a fast food drink. The bailiff is holding that for her.
If you would please remain standing and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you'll give before the court in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
You can take your hand down and have a seat. And if you would please introduce yourself to the jury.
Hi, good afternoon. I am Detective Tracy Moore. I'm with the Clayton County Police Department. I'm currently in the Criminal Investigation Division. I have been in that role for, it was 6 years in November, and I've been with the department for, it'll be 10 years in February.
Well, thank you for answering the first 7 questions.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought so.
Hey, let's move
I'm sorry.
I'm good with it.
No further questions, Your Honor.
How long have you been a police officer?
It'll be 10 years in February.
And are you post-certified?
I am.
And were you post-certified law enforcement officer back in May of 2019?
Yes, ma'am.
And if I was following along, you have also still been in CID in 2019, is that
correct? Yes, ma'am.
And just, what is CID?
The Criminal Investigation Division. We just investigate different types of crimes that can't be handled right there on the road.
So do you occasionally then respond to scenes after the uniform division has tried to handle what they can handle?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you working and on duty on May the 7th of 2019?
Yes, ma'am.
As it relates to this particular case, did you respond to the actual scene of the incident, or did you go somewhere else as part of your initial duty?
I did not. I went somewhere else.
And did you respond to Southern Regional Medical Center?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Is it common at the Clayton County Police Department Criminal Investigations Division for multiple detectives to be assigned tasks for one case?
Yes, ma'am.
And were there multiple detectives doing various things as it relates to this particular shooting?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you respond to Southern Regional Medical Center around 6:50 p.m. on May the 7th?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was the purpose of going there?
To view the victim of a gunshot wound.
And to determine his status?
Yes.
Once you were there, were you able to confirm that Mr. Herring had in fact passed away from his gunshot wound?
I was.
And as a response to that, did you then contact the Georgia Bureau of Investigations to set up the autopsy that occurred?
I did.
In addition to confirming the status of Mr. Herring, did you also assist in executing search warrants of the 2 vehicles that were involved in, of Ms. Payne's vehicle and Mr. Herring's vehicle?
Your Honor, at this time I'm not. Judge, I understand. These are leading questions. I understand trying to get the details out, but this was kind of the compound that was leading that evidence that had not been brought in, was brought into the question. I would just ask to curtail it back to the leading question.
Your response?
That was a very open-ended question. I asked if she assisted in executing a search warrant. I didn't tell her what the answer was, which would have made the question leading.
She needs to watch Matthew Harris's video.
Overrule the objection and allow the question.
Did you assist in executing search warrants on the defendant's vehicle and Mr. Herring's vehicle?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Where did the execution of those search warrants take place?
In our CSI bay at our police headquarters.
And would the execution of that search warrant, would there have been photographs taken during that?
Yes, ma'am.
If the question is a yes/no question, as Matthew Harris tells us, there's a good chance it's leading.
I'll show you what has been pre-marked as Sticks Exhibits 23, 24, and 25. Did you photograph the contents and then the exterior, portions of the exterior of the defendant's vehicle?
Well, the county photographer did, yes, ma'am. But yes, I was present.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And can you look through 23, 24, and 25 to determine if those fairly and accurately depict things that you observed during the search of that vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
You want to state with tender 23, 24, and 25.
Any objection?
Even though she did not take the pictures, I think she's identified them, so no objection.
Okay. Admitted without objection.
Okay. We're going to publish that.
Yes, you may.
As it relates to State's Exhibit, well, that's not correct. Take that out. Now, just a moment.
Yes, you may.
Okay, so I disagree with the judge on that last objection.
Was there
I believe
ammunition
it was
that was
leading.
recovered from the defendant's vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's what is depicted in State's Exhibit number 23, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, were you aware as part of this investigation that there was some contention that the defendant's vehicle and Mr. Herring's vehicle had made contact prior to the shooting?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you therefore look for any possible damage to the defendant's vehicle?
I did.
Okay, so that ammunition looks different than the one that was recovered from his body.
Number 24, is there some scratch or smudge that you documented as part of that damage?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you also locate some potential damage near one of the tires?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that damage what is depicted in State's Exhibit number 25?
Yes, ma'am.
That's the extent of the damage on the Jeep caused by the victim when he struck the vehicle. Bailiffs are in action here in the court. I'm not sure what's going on. Things are happening.
Did you also photograph some items and some things in Mr. Herring's vehicle as well?
We did.
Have photographed. Yes. I'm going to show you State's Exhibit.
Hey, Amber, thanks for finally putting this up in chat. Appreciate it. What was the delay? Sorry, I timed Amber out. I was playing with it.
Exhibits 26, 27, 28, and 29.
Yes, ma'am.
And do you recognize the contents of those exhibits?
I do.
And do they fairly and accurately depict the state of Mr. Herring's car during the execution of this search warrant?
Yes, ma'am.
Under State Tenders, State's Exhibit 26, 27, 28, and 29.
Any objection, Attorney Tucker? Okay, admitted without objection.
Were you able to make any general observations about just what I would call the state of the interior of Mr. Herring's vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
What were those observations?
There were tools and that type of thing. I believed he was probably a contractor or did some type of handyman type work.
And were there a lot of tools located in that vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
And would you agree that it was a rather cluttered type vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
As it relates to State's Exhibit number 26, was there what appears to be a blood stain in the driver's seat?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that depicted in State's Exhibit number 26, where the ruler indicates?
Yes, ma'am.
And was a general photograph taken from the doorway of Mr. Herring's vehicle as it relates to State's Exhibit number 27 to reflect a lot of items?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And as we're looking in, would you agree, can you just kind of, since the record can't pick up what's in the photograph, can you kind of describe what you're seeing in this photograph?
We're seeing a lot of items. different kind of items. There was some trash in there. There was definitely tools in there. Just kind of clutter of all kinds of things.
And looks like, do you see what looks like maybe some cables?
Looks like jumper cables to me, yes ma'am.
A cooler, a briefcase, things along those lines.
Yes ma'am.
There's also a big blue
a little
cooler.
bit closer up, reflected in State's Exhibit number 28.
Yes ma'am.
Screwdriver behind the
Did you
seat.
photograph additional tools in the back of Mr. Herring's vehicle as well?
Yes ma'am.
That supported, would that have supported what you indicated earlier about your belief of using tools?
Yes.
And using State's Exhibit number 29, can you just describe what we're looking at?
A lot of hand tools and a drill, just miscellaneous type things you would use to fix things in a home.
Looks like a sink faucet was in there.
And is it common practice, and is it actually policy to document the things that are located in a vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you do that specifically as it relates to Mr. Herring's vehicle?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Well said, Libby.
I'm approaching with what has been pre-marked as State's Exhibit number 31. Do you recognize State's Exhibit number 31?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is State's Exhibit number 31?
That's a vehicle inventory. Anytime we tow a vehicle, we would list what is in the vehicle so that for multiple reasons, just to document what's there, and then if the person's getting their vehicle back, to make sure that nothing went missing from the vehicle from the tow yard or whatever.
And is this the vehicle inventory that you conducted for Mr. Herring's vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
And does it contain your signature reflecting that you're the one that created this list?
Yes, ma'am.
State would tender State's Exhibit number 31.
Any objection?
No objection.
Admitted without objection.
And if you could just locate, read the list of items and what you documented about Mr. Herring's vehicle.
The items that were left in the vehicle that seemed to be of value: a blue basket with miscellaneous clothing, miscellaneous yard tools, scissors, knife, miscellaneous vehicle car care tools and objects, a blue cooler, miscellaneous items of no value, a black briefcase, and there was currency, $9 in the center console, and then I'm denoted there was heavy front end damage on the vehicle and body damage as well.
And you mentioned that there were miscellaneous yard tools, including a scissors and a knife. Where were those located?
Those are in the back seat, ma'am.
That's important. The potential weapons were in the back seat, not there in immediate reach for him. So I don't think Hannah would have been able to see the items where they were in the back seat.
I have no questions at this time for Detective Moore.
Okay, thank you. Any cross-examination, Attorney Tucker?
And Hannah's just a regular paralegal. She's doing all the work for him.
Good afternoon, Detective Moore. Matt Tucker here with Ms. Payne. I noticed you were able to look at the contents of the vehicle that Mr. Herring was in. Is that correct? And you did an inventory?
Yes, sir.
And the pictures that have already been tendered, if I may publish them to the jury.
Same pictures again.
You said these would be the miscellaneous. You gotta have glare.
It's because he printed them off on glossy paper. Yes.
Okay. Those would be examples of what you said, miscellaneous tools and whatnot?
Yes, sir.
In the back seat? Or is that in the back compartment?
That's going to be in the bed.
The back compartment of the bed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And This would be like there.
The cooler would indicate that it's upside down. Rotate 90 degrees to the right, clockwise.
It's upside down, sir, but it's the back.
I'm trying to block.
There you go.
I'm trying to block the other seats in. All right, and that would be the back seat.
Yes, sir.
And there's a cooler right there, correct?
There is, yes, sir.
What was inside the cooler?
I don't recall, sir.
Did anybody look inside the cooler?
I'm sure we did.
And in your inventory, you didn't make any reference to the cooler?
If you could show me my inventory again, I believe that was denoted on there.
Okay. If I may correct.
Blue cooler, yes, sir, it's listed.
So in that inventory sheet, you usually write down things that are important, correct?
I wouldn't say important things that may have some value to them. Like if it has no value, we don't really write it down.
Okay. And this appeared to have some value to it, correct?
I mean, it would, yes, it would. If you sold it, it would have some value.
And the contents would either increase or just leave the value of just the cooler, correct?
If it had contents in it, yes, sir.
And
or could decrease
check
it.
to see the contents?
I've got a story about that too.
I assisted in the search, and we do a thorough search of the vehicle. I don't specifically remember opening it, but we look in we would look in any bag or anything that could contain something else in the glove box, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, but nothing was written about the contents of the cooler?
Correct.
Okay. Now, there were other pictures that were taken of the contents, and if I may, I'm trying to reduce the number of pictures we use, but I want to.
Lots of people in court today. More so than this morning. Gentleman with the bow tie is just getting that little afternoon snooze. Give me 1 second. Let me get the video working properly. Quality defaulted to a lower setting. Okay, there we go.
And I may approach the gun.
You may.
Bow tie guy was mad that we called him out taking a nap, and he's leaving.
Pictures that were given a discovery of the contents.
Yes, sir.
So you could review those.
Three pictures. Okay.
I don't think the contents of the cooler even
That
matter.
appeared to be a fair and accurate representation of the photographs of what was found in that vehicle.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And they don't look like they've been altered. They look like the similar photos that either you or the county photographer took.
The county photographer would have taken them, yes, sir.
But that is a fair and accurate representation of what had appeared in that vehicle.
Yes, sir.
At this time, Your Honor, I would go to tender defense exhibit 23, 24, and 25.
Any objection from the state? No. Admitted without objection.
Publish it.
Yes, you may.
Yeah, his system was clean. No drugs, no alcohol. Nothing detected in his system at all. I think the attorney's just trying to point out that they didn't document everything.
23. This appears to be clutter that is in the vehicle.
Yes, sir.
Are there other items in there that you would think have any kind of value or could be helpful in an investigation?
There's I mean, there's tools, which we've already denoted, but yeah, there's tools in there. There's certainly some type of saw in the floor.
Like a sawzall.
And that saw was in the front seat.
In the floorboard, well, kind of propped up on the seat, yes.
So it was, that
would have been the passenger side, sir.
So that's a fair accusation of where the saw was when you went to the truck or when you looked into the truck?
Yes, sir.
And does that appear to be easy accessible from the driver's position?
Yeah, it would be.
Is there anything else you see in that picture that may be of value?
Like a cell phone
Could have helped
charging?
the investigation.
I see a cell phone, and I don't see, no, sir, I don't believe so.
Okay. And what color is that cell phone?
Red.
Is there anything else red in that vehicle?
There's some type of
flashlight.
I don't know what it is, plastic thing that looks like maybe a flashlight without the head on it.
What about near the floorboard? That appears to be caps.
At the very bottom, yes, sir. Those, I would call them orange, but yes.
Okay, well, those orange.
Yeah.
Those orange caps, what they appear to be?
They would appear to be the cap that covers the tip of a sharp object, like a hypodermic needle or something like that.
And were any of those caps collected?
No, sir.
Okay. And anything else of value that you see in there?
I mean, I can barely, in the center console, I can see the money in the center console.
Okay. Between the cell phone and the flashlight?
I see a bag.
Okay. And were there other bags throughout the rest of the vehicle, inside the vehicle?
You would have to show me the pictures to refresh my memory. However, there was a lot of trash in the vehicle, so there's a lot of things in the vehicle.
What happens to exhibit number 24? And you said there were contents within this area right here, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And there appears to be a cap here, correct?
I'm not sure, sir.
Okay. Well, what is that, whatever that is, what is that laying on top of?
The money, there's money, lottery tickets, a lighter, something red, cigarettes, I think, a cigarette pack.
And if I may approach again, Your Honor?
You may.
I think sometimes that's not giving a good value.
I feel like I'm playing the Where's Waldo game and I'm losing. I'm not sure what we're looking for here.
And can you see that? Is it a cap or not a cap now that it's gotten closer?
Honestly, no, it's cylindrical. I'm not sure, sir.
Okay.
It looks red. The other things look orange to me, so I could not. I don't know if it's a cap or a pen or what it is, honestly.
Okay, and what is it laying on top
Lottery tickets?
of? Is there something of a blue color there that's lying on top of?
On top of it, yes. I thought you said on top of. Yes, it's like a little small bag.
Okay. And did y'all collect those little small bags?
No, sir.
So you felt that that was not important in the investigation?
No, sir.
And the little bag that you're referring to is right here, correct?
Up a little bit, but yes.
The blue little bag.
Correct.
Okay. Were there any other baggage that you saw within the contents? And I'll bring it closer so you can see.
I do see another one, yes, sir.
Okay. And was any of those, and what does it appear to be to you?
Like a Ziploc bag type bag?
Okay. And that type bag was not collected either, was it?
No, sir.
And in the investigation, there really wasn't much collected from this vehicle, was it?
I believe the only thing that I would have to refer to my inventory sheet, But I believe the only thing that we did take from Mr. Herring's vehicle was a blood swab, DNA swabs.
Now this is exhibit number 25. Now was that found within the vehicle?
It was.
And where was that found within the vehicle?
In the back seat.
Okay, in the back seat where it was accessible? Was it underneath some of those buckets? Whereabouts?
It was, I believe you could see it if you want to bring the other picture back up from the back seat, but I believe you can see it in that photo.
That looks like a
It would have been
diver's knife.
behind in the back seat, kind of in the center. Yes, sir. That's the one. But it's upside down, sir.
So,
There you go.
so whereabouts would that have been?
I don't know if they can see if I point on here, but if you see the yellow and black jumper cables or whatever that is,
Over here?
yes, it would be to the bottom left of that.
Right around in here?
Yes,
Okay. So there's a gap here between these two chairs, correct?
there is.
And it's kind of in between that gap, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when you collected that, did you keep it as evidence? Or did you just take pictures of it?
We just took a picture of it.
Okay, and you didn't feel that that was something that could assist your investigation?
No, sir.
Okay. And those caps to the hypodermic, or to those needles, y'all didn't collect any of those?
No, sir. I believe the only thing we collected were DNA swabs from that vehicle.
Your Honor, if I may approach.
You may.
What I have here is defense
Facial expressions are great.
26. If you could look at that, please.
Yes, sir.
Does that appear to be a fair and accurate representation of what you saw when you approached the vehicle to do inventory?
Yes, sir.
And it does not appear to be anything altered or there anything moved. It is as you saw when you arrived.
Yes, sir.
At this time, Your Honor, I would tender defense exhibit number 26.
Any objection from the state? Judge, I'm not going to object to the exhibit. I just want there to be clarity that this was not one of the photographs taken during the execution of the search warrant. This is from where Mr. Herring's vehicle was on scene. So I don't mind if she can recognize that's what it looked like, but this is not a photograph, as I just pointed out to Mr. Tucker a moment ago. This is not a photograph taken for the execution of that search warrant. But I don't object to the photo coming in.
Okay, so the photo is admitted without objection.
Madam, publish it to the jury.
It's a long way to say no objections. Pickles and Zoe, thank you for your generosity, gifted memberships, and a super chat.
It gives a better and a closer look at what the contents of the console were, correct?
It looks about the same to me.
Okay, and what do you see in those? In that photo?
I see money, lottery tickets, cigarettes. I see the bag, a lighter, something round and red. I'm not sure what that is.
What appears to be coming from that cigarette pack?
May I see the photo in person again?
Sure.
It's just really grainy on there. It would appear there is plastic either beside it or coming from the pack.
And plastic in a form of a...
I can't say for certain it's a bag, but it would appear that be that thick kind of plastic.
And in your investigation of this vehicle, you didn't feel that was valid or important to take in or collect?
No, sir.
Okay. And when you started this investigation, what were you looking within the vehicle for?
We were looking for evidence of what had occurred on the side of the road at 285 and Forest Parkway.
And you were aware that there was an accident prior to the incident, correct?
I was, yes, sir.
Okay. And the accident included a truck, which is photographed here, the contents, and a semi-truck, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
How much do you think that truck weighs, the Mr. Herring's truck?
I can object at this time. I cannot fathom what the relevance of this could be.
Your Honor,
That would be
if we can approach, I can explain it to the judge.
You may approach.
Your Honor, I could explain why I need to ask her how heavy the truck is. Okay, I can tell you, if it's following the same thought process, he's looked at everything in the vehicle that could either be used as a weapon or could, in another scenario, if the facts were not the same as this scenario, be considered suspicious for drug use. So I'm thinking the vehicle is a weapon, is where he's going with this one. Cannot fathom the audacity. Audacity is the lady's word. Did she say audacity? Did I miss it? I just tuned that word out. She said it so many times. Krista sent something to the burner phone. I see it here. No, it doesn't protect, but it's tricky. I can explain it after. Negative for drugs, may have needed insulin regularly. I wonder what this is a very slow conversation that's going on up at the bench right now. Very slow, but they're arguing over whether or not he can ask if she knows how heavy the truck is. Okay, if he's saying the car's a weapon, she's got to testify that no one else has said he had a weapon. The specific tactic, I think, is trying to seem like he's learning this information at the same time as the jury.
And to clarify, you never went to the scene of the accident. You went to Southern Regional, correct?
Sustained the objection.
That's correct.
Okay, so you didn't see any of the accident.
Still has only two objections.
Went to the scene that was the incident after the accident.
That's correct.
Okay. And as you were testifying, if I may,
You may.
this picture here, when you were making references to the cigarette pack and the plastic coming out of it's right here, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that is a cigarette pack?
Newports, yes, sir.
Okay. And do you see any cigarettes in that cigarette pack?
From that angle, I cannot.
Okay. But you can see the plastic?
Yes.
So, and as you testified earlier, those contents were not taken into custody?
They were not.
Okay. And so, and you didn't take the picture, but somebody else did, but it was not requested either from you or the other investigators there to take evidence like that into custody, correct?
No, sir. I assisted with the search, so I looked at everything in the car and there was nothing to take as evidence.
So these little baggies that you saw, and the needles, you didn't feel those were relevant?
No, I did not.
Okay. Now later on, you were at the precinct, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and Ms. Payne was present, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And during that interview...
Judge?
I'm sorry, during that time...
May we object? May we approach? Yes.
Whoa. Look at that. Wow. Let me just say the judge is going to rule in favor of the prosecution on this one because he just stepped somewhere where he was not supposed to walk. May we object? No, you can't back up. You can't back up. What did he say? Should we back up just a little bit? Give me just a second. Let's listen. It might be a long objection here. Let's okay, here we go. It says this right here.
Judge?
Oh, let's back up. Let's take 3.
Now later on, you were at the precinct, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and Ms. Payne was present, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And during that interview...
Judge?
I'm sorry, during that time...
May we object? May we approach? Yes.
Okay, so that's what they said. That's what happened there on... Talking about the interview, Miss Payne interview at the precinct. You can't go into this for some reason. In the interview. We'll see what happens here. I'm pretty sure the prosecution is going to win this one. Trying to get her statements without her testimony. Yes, because she's present, they can't bring in her own statements. That would be hearsay. She has to take the stand to bring those statements in.
So, jurors, I'm going to instruct you to disregard the question that was previously asked by defense counsel. Attorney Tucker, you may proceed with your next question.
Okay, let me mark these real quick.
Wow, disregard the question. There was no answer. Disregard the question. Did we count that objection? I think we counted it, right? Yeah, we did. Still, his defense has won 2 objections so far in this case. Yet they can play the police interviews because that's a statement from a party opponent or a statement against interest or all sorts of things. They can play them, but the defense can't. It's just how the rules work. The chief ADA was pretty pleased with herself for catching that very quickly. Pretrial motion to exclude all defendants' self-serving statements. That's why they can't bring that up. Yeah, I'm not saying the judge is biased at all, Valerie. I'm not. I'm just saying that typically we saw the same thing in the Maya case, where there was a portion of the trial where everything seems to be going one way, and it does flip. It does flip. It just has to do with what part of trial we're watching. It's just how the system works.
If I may approach.
You may approach.
This way, please.
I will tell you, the judge has stayed calm and polite in situations where I may not have done the same. I think those are autopsy pictures. Just heads up.
And does those appear to be photos that you took of Miss Payne?
I had the county photographer, yes, sir.
Miss Payne, sorry.
And are those fair and accurate representations of the photos that you requested the county photographer to take?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this time, Your Honor, I would request to tender exhibits 27 through 33.
We'll have to approach to review them, but we contend that there are photographs that are basically the same, so it's typically evidence.
Okay.
That was an objection
for approach to review them. Okay.
That was an objection because they were duplicative. They're duplicates. It's basically the same thing, and just more pictures of the same thing. That's not allowed in court. You get to represent it once, maybe another for perspective, but you can't just put same pictures over and over and over and over and over, trying to hammer a point in. I love the judge's demeanor, and her accent is so calming. She's great. She's really good. Okay. Dinosaur Redneck says, Recovery Addict, not caught up on everything yet, but I can't get past the excited utterance on the 911 call of him shooting himself. Those utterances are generally visceral reactions and the truth. She did say on the 911 call that he shot himself with her gun. Is that another word for cumulative? Yeah, it's adding up. It's adding up. More of the same. Duplicitous duplicates.
No.
Pardon me.
May I publish these to the
Yes, you may.
Is there any way to lower the lights so hopefully we can see this better without that glare?
Could we have some mood lighting, please? Oh, there it is. One more set.
Do you recognize that photograph?
I do.
Exhibit number 27.
Yes, sir.
And is there a mark that is distinctive there in that photograph?
Yes, sir. I see a scratch mark going vertically and a fainter one going horizontally on the back of Miss Payne's neck.
Your Honor, instead of me, if you would not mind, you could come over here and point it out.
There's a way for her to...
Right, but you can't see it on the screen. Instead of me just sitting there going like this.
There's a way for a detective...
Oh, there is?
Yes.
Okay. If you could point out.
So you have to do something to the screen so that it's like a little pen on there that I can draw with. I'm not quite sure how to do that.
IT.
We have our IT. Here, I think it would be
Paging IT. Paging IT.
Yeah, they usually they do something over there and they pop up over here.
You had a court reporter do a drill again.
That's why she makes the big bucks, you know.
No.
Court reporter.
Our other IT guy, Deputy Diaz, is here.
Right. Diaz, are you aware how to get the docs that they need the 3 docs?
Deputy Diaz steps up.
Because it's not the
I
instant.
appreciate it.
You can come back, Mr.
Oh.
Court reporter, please start taking notes again.
Mark on it. And it will be able to show on the screen what she's pointing at or what she's marked. Yeah,
Deputy Diaz is like, yeah, I have one of these at home. I use it when I'm watching football and analyzing plays. I think this calls for a break, Judge.
There was a mark over in here. Oh, it's on hers.
Deputy Diaz, you might have to stay up front and center for a bit.
And what color? What color would you like to use? Yellow, green, blue?
Thomas has the same color. Yeah,
Blue or green or red?
whatever you want to do, sir.
Use the color that matches the defendant's outfit.
Okay.
Okay, Attorney Tucker, you get shown one time. You figure it out the next time. I'm not going to the deputy.
He showed me what to do. I think I've got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, deputy.
Close it. Okay. All right. Hopefully that'll work on your screen there. If you could, yes, draw. And that to you appeared to be
A scratch.
a scratch. Okay. Was there another scratch?
It's a lot fainter, but yes, it's right here.
And did you have an opportunity to measure the scratches?
The county photographer, I believe, had a ruler that he took a picture with. You should have those photos as well if you have these.
I'm trying to change out this one here.
Deputy Diaz, if you could come back. You told me how to turn it on, but I don't know how to turn it off.
You should pull it.
Oh, there's that.
Ooh.
She's already got it there. I know how to put that up there, but I'm trying to go to a new document. So what I just document camera?
Well, you're on the document camera.
Yeah.
Don't touch the buttons. Just hit clear screen and then go again.
So is that a fair and accurate representation of the measuring of that scratch?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you see
Wow.
how many inches long that is?
The up and down one is approximately, I would say, 3.5 inches.
And did they happen to measure the other?
And that one horizontally would be approximately
3 3/4.
almost 3 inches.
And in the photographs, this is defense exhibit number 28.
Yes, sir.
What does that appear to be?
Like it's kind of pink, but it looks almost like it's swollen a little bit.
Okay, so, and that is her wrist?
That would be her right wrist, yes, sir.
Okay. And that is her right wrist?
Yes, sir.
And defense exhibit number 30. Could you tell me what that is?
There's a small little mark right above her upper lip on her right side.
And that would appear to be something that occurred during an incident that left a mark on her lips?
She can't testify to that.
Your response?
She can do is testify to what the photographs are.
I'll rephrase it.
Okay, so objection sustained, you can rephrase.
You felt that this picture would be necessary, correct?
Yeah, I was wanting to document any injury, yes, sir.
And looking at this picture, is there an injury in that picture?
There's a small, I don't know what to call it, is a small mark above her lip.
Okay. And in this picture here, can you tell me what that's a picture of?
That's Miss Payne's face, but there was some pinkness right there.
Does there appear to be any swelling in this area here?
I couldn't say because I didn't know what she looked like prior to taking the picture, but yes, it appears that there's some discoloration.
Yeah. And this would be a fair and accurate representation of the shirt that she was wearing.
Yes, that's correct, sir.
And what's a depiction of that?
The shirt was torn.
And are the buttons ripped off?
It's been so long, I don't recall what the shirt would have looked like before, but there's clearly, at the very top, there was clearly like where something joined, but I'm not sure if it was buttons or if it was like sewn. I'm not sure, sir.
So it's fair to say that the cloth here had been torn apart from the other side of the shirt.
In the middle, where it's a V, yes.
Okay, and these, you requested to have the photographer take pictures of, correct?
Of the what, sir?
Is there an objection?
Yeah, my request is that he removed, go moving the questioning, take the exhibit down.
She requested takes the exhibit
These
down?
were all photographs that you requested of Ms. Payne?
I did.
So you felt these were relevant and sufficient evidence?
Relevant and sufficient?
Well, to start, do you feel that this was evidence that needed to be documented?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And did you feel that those were fair depictions of all of the injuries or some of the injuries?
All.
All.
She's numbering exhibits. She's numbering the exhibits for him. I hope she gets a discount on her attorney fees. Maybe she's a paralegal. Maybe that's her business.
You may.
She could have torn her own shirt, but realized there were witnesses all around watching this.
Appear to be other photos that were taken of Ms. Payne?
On the same day, yes, sir.
Okay. And are these fair and accurate representations of what you saw being photographed?
It is.
Okay. At this time, Your Honor, I would tender defense exhibit number 34 and 35.
Any objection from the state?
No objection.
Okay.
Without
objection.
Yes, you may call.
Okay, we're going to see a picture of her hand, and then I think another full body shot. Another one with that black shirt.
And that is a picture of...
That would be her right hand.
Okay. And do there appear to be any marks around the knuckles?
It appears to be slightly discolored and possibly a little swollen.
Okay. And
could have been from punching.
Do you see any distinct marks around that?
I'm not sure if it's a vein or if it's a mark, but there's a more darker discoloration below her pointer finger, over some.
Right there?
No, well, no, that's not what I was talking about. Yeah, that is a little discolored as well. I'm talking about down below her knuckle. You're coming, you're not even over, no, you're nowhere near, right here.
Just draw on the screen.
I don't know if I can draw on it still. No, I cannot.
Push the button, sir.
Okay.
Yep. No, you push document camera again. Get the deputy back up. These don't prove her side, but they do.
That's where I was speaking of, but yeah, there is a little discoloration. It looks a little swollen.
They fit in her story.
Discoloration on her fingers as well, between her fingers, I should say.
Do you notice anything to the? I guess it would be to the side of that you just circled.
I honestly can't tell if it's a photograph or not, but it would appear there's discoloration there, and there, and there.
And that would be in the webbing of her hand?
Like, between the fingers, yes.
Okay. And that would appear that there's possibly some cuts from the palm coming out, or I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you said you could see
discoloration and possible swelling.
Okay. And does it appear to be coming from the palm of the hand out? Between where you circled the webs of the finger.
Oh, like inside the fingers?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. And those wouldn't be from the external of the hand, it would be coming from the palm of the hand, correct?
I would think it was where your fingers were together, or something was between your fingers.
Okay. And it appears that they've been cut. Does it appear they've been?
No, it would. To me, I've worked a lot of different types of crimes. I don't know if I can testify to that, but if that's okay, it would appear to be swelling and like blunt force to me.
Would it appear as if a finger would be pulled away from the other fingers that could cause that kind of tear or rip?
It does not appear to be torn or ripped to me, sir. It appears to be like almost where a bruise is coming up, where like blunt force was applied.
Inside the webbing, correct?
That's what it would appear to me.
Okay.
Bruise type injuries.
Okay. And that is in the webbing, just to be clear, inside the webbing.
If you want me to be specific, yeah, this one would be in the. I would call that webbing. I would call that just between. You don't call them knuckles. Yeah, I guess knuckles, and then that would just be on her. I guess the inside of her thumb.
And on this.
Close down the whole app. Shut it down. Deputy back there is shaking his head. When I told you, I showed you how to do this.
You learn something new every day. This right here.
Upside down, sir. There you go.
Defense exhibit number 35. Is there anything that's significant of that picture?
The significance for that picture for me would be the fact that her jeans had dirt or grease on them.
And they appear to be in a circle?
This picture is, I think if you had the picture that came from Warren Bond, it would be more visible, but there's definitely dirt and grease, I would say above her knee and below, in her thigh area on the front.
Okay. And what was the condition of the outside of the truck?
The truck was, there's photographs of it, but it was partially red and it was partially, I think you call it primer gray. It was not a clean vehicle.
So it's possible these ink or grease spots to come from when the knees were against the door?
And again, Judge, speculation. Your response, Attorney General?
I don't think it's speculation. They took a picture of this for a reason, and therefore I would like to know what the reason is. And I was putting up a reason and see if that was correct, and if not, she can answer why they took pictures.
And again, it requires you to guess as to how the dirt got on the defendant's jeans.
It does call for speculation, so I'm going to sustain the objection.
Okay.
Attorney Tucker.
So, but you felt this was significant to take a picture?
I did.
And of all the contents of the inside of the truck, nothing was really taken?
She's answered the question about what's taken on the truck over and over and over again.
I've seen the inventory sheet which I handed to her, They gave an inventory sheet. I see a lot of pictures. I'm not sure if one or two of those pictures they did take as inventory because it's kind of miscellaneous. It doesn't really specifically say. So I'm trying to narrow it down to find out specifically out of this miscellaneous, was there anything taken that they took pictures of?
I'm going to sustain the objection, Attorney Tucker, because I think this has repeatedly said what was taken and what was not taken. So if you ask your next question.
No further questions.
Thank you, Attorney Tucker. Does the state have any redirect for this witness?
Do you know what defendant Payne, what her neck looked like on May 6th of 2019?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Do you know what her hands looked like on May the 6th of 2019?
No, ma'am.
Do you know what her jeans looked like on May the 6th of 2019?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Mike's drop.
As part of your investigation, were you aware that after the shooting, the defendant put on a different shirt?
I was, yes, ma'am.
That would have to go over her head and near her neck.
Yes, ma'am.
So she scratched herself putting on the shirt?
Just one moment, but I'll be a little bit clear about approach with State's Exhibit number 28.
You may.
You were asked about this knife that was photographed as well. Can you display, I'm just going to do it from here because I'm not going to try that machine.
Yes, ma'am.
Behind the driver's seat, which is kind of smushed back against the back seat, would you agree with that?
Yes, ma'am.
There's bag.
Yes, ma'am.
Some cables.
Yes, ma'am.
And the butt of this knife is shoved down in a bag, or in that area, correct?
Behind the seat, yes, ma'am.
You were shown photographs of the defendant's hand.
Yes, ma'am.
And her fingers.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you aware that's the state of her fingernails when the defendant first arrived at the Clayton County Police Department?
No, ma'am, it is not.
What was the state of the defendant's fingernails when she first arrived at the Clayton County Police Department?
She had on long fingernails, ma'am.
Fake nails?
Yes, ma'am.
So long fingernails could have scratched her neck.
And so any of the things that you photographed on the defendant's face, arm, any of that, you do not know what she looked like earlier in the day on May the 7th of 2019. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say, yes, ma'am.
No further questions.
Anything further?
Yes, Your Honor. This was.
Oh, it is.
And as you described, the knife that was taken, whether it was shoved down between cables or not, it was accessible. You could reach back there and grab it.
It was behind the driver's seat, but just to the right side.
So it was accessible.
I couldn't say. I don't know how long his arms were, but I would think so, yes.
Okay. And all these pictures you took or you had taken, you felt were important, correct?
To document the, yes, I would say yes.
Okay. So you felt that there was significance in it to document it for the case?
I did.
No further?
Does the state have any other questions for this witness?
No, Judge, may she be released?
Yes. Detective Moore, thank you. Your next speech.
Okay, I appreciate the information I'm getting about fake nails. I've never worn them, so.
Judge, you might be lengthy, but I'm trying to get started, and if we need to break, we can break.
Okay. I think it is appropriate to give a break at this time. The jurors have been
we've been here for
sitting
almost 20
for a
minutes.
while. I'm going to make it a very short break. It's now 2:15. If you could be back by 2:30, then we'll resume.
$2:30, so we get 13 minutes of a break. I would comment on nails, but I will refrain. Thank you, Ed. Appreciate that. I don't know. Here's what I'll say. The information that we're getting, I'm not hearing pieces of evidence that would make it impossible for the scenario that the defense lawyer sort of laid out to have occurred. If it's reasonable and plausible for the defense's version of the events to have happened, I have to look at that and say, is that not reasonable doubt right now? If anything, the only thing I've heard is that we've got conflicting evidence on the state side so far. So I still am. I'm not sure where to come down on this. I still have to wait. Lots of breaks. Judge is not a camel. Let's see. Bite Me says, I'm about to fall asleep. It's because of that big lunch. I tell you, that fajita that I had for lunch was delicious, and now I'm paying the price. I'm also a little tired. Teresa says, no, not trust the defense lawyer one bit. I admit, he's trying to create doubt, I think, in places where there isn't doubt, where there's not room for doubt. And he's trying in areas where he can't achieve it. He's trying everywhere, and that makes him look bad in a lot of our eyes. But he's doing a good job at it. I mean, he's a good defense lawyer. Although, for being able to give speaking objections, I think he should be able to argue better on the objections. He's really failing that one. Beep, 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 backdoor. The DA offered her a plea deal this whole time, I think, and it's not nice. It's still life, but with parole. They seem confident in this case. Don't believe she saw the knife. Judy, I agree. I don't think we heard anything in the... If there was a knife involved, there would have been something in those statements early on. There would have been something in the story that, she was trying to get him to get out of the truck, and he pulled a knife, and you would have heard something there. The knife didn't play in. Just the fact that afterwards, after they hauled the car down to the police impound and have inventoried everything, they find a knife in the back seat. I don't think it was a factor during the incident. Cynthia, if she thought he was drunk, is she wrong for trying to stop him, even reaching the cab to fight for keys? This is the question. At what point did she break the law? Knowing what she knew or what she thought, or what a reasonable person might be able to conclude. Is she wrong for doing that? Let's see. Hey, Recovery Addict, Mrs. Sorry's clothes are in the dryer. Thanks, Amber. How's those timeouts treating you? I might have to hitch up with another one. The state has it all against her. I can see how the state can be viewed to paint a target around the evidence they have, like the William Tell example. I can see a little bit of that. But I'm still not convinced either way. Why didn't they collect more than what they did from his truck? Well, he was dead. And I guess the evidence that the witnesses provided about the incident probably it was enough. Culperistic. I stand with Amber. Hashtag mod lives matter, right? She broke the law when she assaulted him with her fist. All right. What if she was not first? What if she did not throw the first punch? What if she went up to the window, literally telling him, sir, you're drunk. Get out of the car. You've already caused an accident. Get out of the car. Even if she's yelling it, swearing it. I can't win against Amber. Everybody loves Amber, so I cannot pick a fight against her. I would lose this one in a heartbeat. She broke the law when she unholstered the weapon. Unless she did it while she was being assaulted to defend herself. If she did, I think she did it poorly because there was a struggle over the weapon before it went off. I'm surprised there weren't more questions about the nails. She was wearing long nails and then she took them off at the police station. I didn't quite get to the bottom of that. She was assuming he was drunk. She didn't see him drinking or doing drugs. Right, but okayest wife, would a reasonable person assume the same thing by watching him blow through a red light, crash into the side of a semi-truck, get out disoriented, look around, say I didn't do anything wrong, and drive off? Could a reasonable person get to that same conclusion? She did misjudge it. Ariel, I'm with you on that she got very aggressive. I want to have a couple more facts about how this started, how the whole thing went down, like the proper order. And right now we've got conflicting evidence. Realize one of the witnesses literally said she peeled out, drove over the median, peeled out in front of him, stopped, jumped out with the gun drawn, yelling, "Get out of the blanket car! Get out of the blanket car!" And other witnesses tell a very different story. So I'm just not sure what happened yet. Does a citizen's arrest have to include a felony, not a misdemeanor? If so, DUI is not a felony. DUI, but DUI accident leaving the scene of the crime, does that escalate to a felony in Georgia? Let's go back to court here. I'm surprised there was only one person recording. It seems everyone's recording when stuff happens. Yeah, this was 2019. I think today there will be a few more people recording. They were all in traffic, and traffic was moving slowly, but it was moving. I think that's why, if it had been completely stopped, I think you would have had more people recording. There is more evidence to come, but I have to also keep in mind that there is no burden on the defendant to produce any evidence. The burden has to be all on the state. The state has to get me past this reasonable doubt. Judy says you guys are missing the point. She's saying that she didn't pull the trigger. Jules says, I understand your stance, Recovery Addict, but she had no reason to take the gun with her when she approached him. Agree or disagree? Okay, two things. This is a great question, by the way. Reason to have the gun with her, it's legal. So, like it or not, as far as legality goes, everything we have shows that she was legally carrying a legally owned firearm, and she was in a place where she's legally allowed to carry it. So, having the gun is not a crime. If she approached him with the gun drawn, then throw the book. That would be, she's definitely in the wrong there. Do we get to hear her police interviews and her personal statement of what happened? I don't know. I don't know if we will. The next witness is lengthy. It would be very interesting to me if the police interview was not brought in somewhat, if the discussion about the interview was not brought in some way. Because all we know from the scene is that everyone's saying she was very cooperative with police. So this is what happened. Here's the firearm. This is what happened. So I wonder how the interview went. There's contradictory evidence as to whether she had the gun out on approach. One witness says it was taken out during the struggle, and the video shows that the gun initially was in her holster, at least for that portion. Now, I realize it may have been out previous to that, been back in the holster, and then come out again. That's a possibility as well. So both could be true. But the video evidence we have shows that it was not out at that time. And the witness who said that it came out, let's see, nope, that was a different witness. The second witness that said that the gun was out had it in her other hand. Malonis law, Malonis law. It's not well, right now it's a constitutional carry state, but we believe that she had a permit to carry, and it was concealed at the time of the incident, so it was legal. So the same would apply. You can't hold it against her for having the gun holster, just having it with her. Yes, critical that she testifies. I think she might have to. And she has to be very convincing and be able to withstand cross as well. Malonis is correct pronunciation. Thank you. Thank you. I'll go with that one. We're done with Detective Tracy Moore, right? She's been released. Let me unpin this message. Runts Rants. There's been no testimony that she was seen racking the gun, so she had one in the chamber ready to fire when she pulled it from her holster. Most people who carry a concealed weapon carry it one in the holster or one in the chamber ready to fire. Hammerback, safety off. That's how they carry. That's how I was in my class, for my concealed weapons class. That's how I was taught to carry. I was also, encouraged to get a specific type of gun that would have that be in a safe position. There are some firearms that have literally a rotating firing pin that won't, even if the hammer were to drop or the gun were to be dropped on the hammer, it could not fire unless the trigger is pulled. There's lots of different safeties involved that make one of the safest positions for the gun to be in is in that state. Wonder how long she had her carry permit. Very few states, I think almost all the states have a 21-year-old age limit, so she would have been within her first year of licensure, unless for some reason Georgia allows 18-year-olds to get a CCW, which I don't think they do, or did back then. Why is this called citizen arrest murder trial? Did she make or try to make an arrest at all? Michelle's Mixed Madness, we have not heard from her. We haven't heard the word citizen's arrest, but here's what we know. We know that she stopped him and prevented him from leaving the area, and that's where the charges come in, that she's facing the charge of unlawful detainment. That is, the defense to unlawful detainment is a citizen's arrest. So if she's saying she did it right, the only thing she can say is I was doing a citizen's arrest because I observed him committing this crime and had to stop it from proceeding, or else people were going to get hurt. That's the only defense she has. So that's why we call it that, because otherwise she would be pleading guilty to unlawful detainment. In Georgia, it's 21 to purchase, 18 to own. So your parents can gift you a gun at 18, but 21 to buy your own. We are on a break. Should be done here in about a minute. Most carry guns do not have external safeties, as do most police firearms do not have external safeties. And they also are carried with one in the chamber, ready to fire. Kimberly Elm says, Recovery Addict, okay, here's my issue. She says she didn't pull the trigger. So if the state wants to prove malice, felony, murder, they have to prove that she pulled the trigger, and I haven't seen that. That's a good point. I don't know. I want more information about that struggle. I wish there was cameras everywhere that could show us what actually happened. Of course, we wouldn't be here if that were the case. At the end of the day, an older man experiencing a medical crisis lost his life. There's been some objection to calling him older because he's only 60, and That's not that far away from my age, so be careful. Do you know if they swabbed the gun for prints or DNA? Yes, we had the DNA experts on earlier today. They did swab the gun. It did have a major contributor of the defendant. Her DNA was all over it, and it also had a minor contributor of a male profile that they could not rule out the victim as the contributor for that profile. It doesn't mean that it was him, but they can't rule him out. And there was a third profile that could have also been, it's somebody else. It could be a third person, or it could have been the defendant, the victim as well. I really can't see why she would follow, block him in, or approach him unless she was the aggressor. A normal person does not do this. A normal person knows this is an escalation. Alice, I agree. I think she made very poor choices there. But some poor choices are still legal. And the jury has to draw a line and say, at what point did she break the law? And if she didn't break the law in everything she did, if it was a lawful citizen's arrest, okay, if what she observed, a reasonable person could have looked at that and said, yes, she's doing what she should or is allowed to do as a citizen to stop this crime that is occurring in front of her, then where does the crime start? And if she goes up to the door and tells him to get out of the car in a lawful citizen's arrest, is she still in her right? Is she still in her right to do that? I know. I look at those injury pictures, especially the webbing pictures. The pictures on the knuckle, when you saw the swelling on the knuckles, that's impact. That's where it's going to get bruised and sore from hitting something, from striking something. The webbing in the fingers, that is not from punching something. That's from hands grabbing at each other, fingers being bent and pulled. That's a different type of impact entirely. I don't think that would be sustained from her throwing punches. Okay. How did he get his finger on the trigger during such a struggle while disoriented? Vicky, if there was a struggle and we're seeing evidence that seems to indicate there was something that occurred, the thing that shows up to me is the bruising on the wrist, that big swelling area on the wrist. That's not an area that normally would be affected unless she had broken her arm or something throwing a punch. That could be from the door, the side of the door or something, if they were fighting and the arms were moving around. I think there's a struggle. There was a struggle that went on there for some reason. If she was drawing the gun and had her finger off the trigger, okay, you don't want to draw the gun with your finger on the trigger because you're pulling and lifting and it can discharge while you're drawing. So if you have your finger alongside the side of the gun and are drawing it and have not moved your finger on the trigger, that trigger guard is open and can be reached from the front, and any finger action in there, move, grabbing, trying to, you can easily discharge a weapon that way. Trigger was not swabbed. They only swabbed the what they call the ridged area on the top of the slide. If you were to look at the gun, here's my little my YouTube safe firearm, as you can see right here. The gun has a top slide. The back part of the slide has ridges or texture on it, and it's designed that way so that you can grab it and pull it back. Let's see. Where's my hand? There it is. Pull it back to cock the gun. So you need to be able to have something where you've got some friction, where you can grab and pull. That's the area they swabbed on that top slide. It would be the most likely place that whoever loaded the gun would have left their DNA on it unless they were wearing gloves. Why couldn't she mind her business while there was an off-duty cop on the scene? She was angry and should have never gone after him. All Reasonable citizens arrest? No. There very few citizens arrest are reasonable that I've heard. There have been very, very few of them. See, Becca Lynn says, everyone's picturing themselves as her. No one is picturing themselves as him. Elder Skull's grandma says, if a stranger approached me like that, I'd immediately go into defensive mode. Yeah, and indications are that he may have, okay, because he had stopped without hitting her vehicle. Then she came up to him. She's on the side of the vehicle, and while she's on the side of the vehicle, then he tries to flee and ends up striking her vehicle. Did he say the weapon jammed? Yes, the weapon jammed after one round. So by jam, it most likely did not fully eject the shell, or it's not very common for the weapon to jam as it's feeding the new shell in. It usually jams with the previous shell not fully ejected. Isn't the biggest issue she initiated a felony action? Because then any death in commission of a felony would automatically be felony murder. Well, that's what they're charging. This malice murder. That's what they're saying. She meant to do this. But if the jury finds that that this unlawful detainment was not a crime, that she was doing what was reasonable, then you lose the charge of felony murder while committing the offense of false imprisonment. That one's automatically out because you didn't commit false imprisonment, so the prerequisite is not there. So that one's gone. Then you're down to aggravated assault, felony murder, malice murder is what's left. And I believe one of the possession of a firearm during commission of a felony would drop as well. Mr. General, I agree. A gun is not a tool to be waved around to win an argument. Yeah, it's frustrating to me that people value life so lightly as to take one on a whim. And it seems that everything escalates to the extreme very quickly nowadays. Anna Banana says, I have so many questions, Recovery Addict. Did the MA take fingernail scrapings of the victim to check for Hannah's DNA? Were there any defensive wounds on the victim other than the gunshot wound? Anna Banana, I can tell you on the medical examiner, the autopsy on Mr. Herring did find a bruise on his shoulder in the area where the seatbelt would cross, but it was a small bruise about the size of a pencil. They did not find any bruising on his chest area or his face, but the examiner did also indicate that there could have been impacts there that did not turn into bruising. So something could have happened, but it not show up there. I'm not sure exactly the reasoning there, unless they did the autopsy soon. Sometimes you can say we want to hold the body to see if more bruising shows up. I think they did in the Boone trial. They said they wanted to wait and hold the body to see if there anything else would turn up over time. I don't know how the body bruises when you're dead, but all right. Can you tell me about the Weather Watcher channel? Sweet and Salty. It's just our favorite weatherman. Thomas is a good friend of mine. He's my podcast partner, and he has a YouTube channel as well. And I'm trying to twist his arm to get him to put some more stuff up there, and he will. He will. Had a good time. I'm expecting some great motorcycle videos because he has a couple really nice motorcycles that he likes to ride. Maybe we'll get him to film some of that. But that's his channel right there. It's good stuff. Cricket says, did you know that this judge had held defense lawyer in contempt even after it was confirmed he was hospitalized with a suspected stroke? Yes, I did hear that. Judge is coming back right now. I think we're about to start. Here we go. It was a long break. Long break.
Counsel's ready to proceed? Yes, Judge. Okay. You can bring the jurors in. Thank you, Bailiff Innes.
I agree. If I had to use a firearm in self-defense, I would fire and miss. I would fire in self-defense and miss. That's the best warning you're going to get, is me missing. I appreciate all the back and forth. I will say this is a sensitive issue, a tough issue, and you guys are incredibly insightful.
Yes.
Great questions as well.
You may be seated. Thank you. Statement call its next witness.
Did we just see a juror's head? Officer on the stand, bringing his shades with him.
Please remain seated. Raise your right hand.
Judge
Do you
Malone.
swear or affirm the testimony you will give before the court in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You can take your hand down.
Judge Scott.
When you get situated, if you would please introduce yourself to the jury.
I'm Sergeant Ryan Ritchie of the Clayton County Police Department.
And how long have you been with the Clayton County Police Department?
10 years now.
And is that the length of time that you have been in law enforcement?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you a post-certified law enforcement officer?
I am.
What is your job description now at the Clayton County Police Department?
Now I'm a supervisor on Uniform Patrol Division.
And what was your job description back on May the 7th of 2019?
I was a road officer in the Uniform Patrol Division.
And does that mean basically you wear a uniform similar to the one that you're wearing today?
Yes, ma'am.
Drive a marked patrol vehicle?
Yes.
And does that generally entail responding to various calls of various natures?
Yes.
And did you work very late last night?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Is that why you're sleeping?
On May the 7th of 2019, around 6:15 p.m., were you working a traffic situation in and around the intersection of Forest Parkway and Interstate 285?
Yes, I was.
Describe what the situation is and what y'all were doing to begin with.
I'm not sure what the incident was on the interstate, but we had to block that ramp getting onto 285 East so that no cars could go down there and get traffic even more backed up than it already was.
And so what did that mean that you were doing in that area?
We just were parked stationary with our lights on, making sure people didn't turn down that entrance ramp to the interstate.
And when you say we, who else was there?
That was myself and Sergeant Marion.
Were y'all in one patrol vehicle or two?
2 vehicles.
Or were you wearing a uniform as well?
Yes, I was.
Did something happen that drew your attention to another area on near Riverdale Road and Forest Parkway?
Yes, I was flagged down by a citizen that informed me there had been a vehicle accident and someone had been shot.
And what did you do in response?
Spun around, informed the sergeant, and drove down to that incident location.
And what was that incident location?
That was Riverdale Road and Forest Parkway in the far right northbound lane.
And is the area that you went to where you observed what appeared to be a traffic situation, is that location, that specific location in Clayton County?
Yes, it is.
When you first arrived, kind of describe what you initially see.
There's a large crowd of people, obviously the 2 vehicles that appeared to have collided, and there were other vehicles pulled over to the side to, I guess, assist with the situation, and multiple witnesses pointing to a red pickup truck saying that the man inside had been shot.
Did you do anything to see if you could determine who had fired a shot?
Yes, I asked who shot him, and that's when Miss Payne stated I did and handed me her firearm, her license, and her Georgia concealed carry permit.
And you indicated Miss Payne, is that person sitting in the courtroom?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you identify where she's sitting and describe her by an article of clothing?
A little off to my right in a green top with some texturing on the sleeves.
Let the record reflect that the officer has identified the defendant.
The record will reflect.
And during the course of this encounter, you indicated that the defendant handed you IDs and things along those lines. Did they identify the defendant as Hannah Payne?
Yes.
Did you, after you received the firearm, etc., where did you go next?
Went to Mr. Herring's vehicle, the driver's side door. For some reason, I couldn't get it open. I'm not sure what the issue was there, but trying to assess him as far as his injuries.
And you were unable to open that driver's side door?
Correct.
How did you gain access?
Went around to the passenger side and tried to help from that side.
Do you recall whether or not the vehicle was either in gear or whether there were keys in the ignition? What do you recall about that?
I don't recall if it was in gear or if there were keys in the ignition.
And were there documents in the vehicle that identify the person in that vehicle as Kenneth Herring?
Yes.
Was Mr. Herring responsive to you?
He was not.
And what did you do?
We're trying to identify where his gunshot wound was and basically what was going on with him, as long as trying to get the driver's side door open.
And was an paramedics or EMT or an ambulance requested?
Yes, they were.
And what were you doing in order to assist Mr. Herring prior to the arrival of the ambulance and paramedics?
Like I said, apply pressure to his wound, and well, initially I was looking for something to apply that pressure with. I didn't find anything, and another officer arrived with some gauze to help out with that.
And were there also civilians assisting you with Mr. Herring?
Yes.
Before the paramedics arrived?
Yes.
Did Mr. Herring ever say anything while you were there?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did you observe anything in Mr. Herring's hands when you arrived?
I did not.
The firearm that was handed to you by the defendant, did you keep that firearm and place it into evidence?
Yes, I did.
Prior to doing so, did you do what's called clear the gun?
I did.
Tell us what that means.
It means when you eject the magazine and then rack the slide to eject the round that's in the chamber.
And why do you do that?
To make sure the gun is completely unloaded and safe.
And did you make any observations when you attempted to clear the handgun in this particular case?
I did when I ejected the round that was in there, which would have been a live round if the gun cycled properly. It was a spent shell casing inside the chamber.
And what, based on your training or knowledge of weapons, what does that mean if the shell casing remains in the chamber?
That just means the slide didn't make it back far enough to eject that shell casing out.
Were you familiar with, as this investigation is ongoing, the defendant, Hannah Payne, being detained on that scene?
Yes.
Okay. Did you also have the vehicles impounded so that they could be searched?
Yes, ma'am.
And you indicated there were several people standing around. Were there any people that were standing around that indicated they had seen what occurred?
Yes, there were.
Did you hand out pieces of paper or forms for them to write statements on?
Yes, we did.
Did you also take photographs of the general, or have photographs taken of the general area, the scene, and both vehicles?
Yes, ma'am. The county photographer did.
Okay. I already shown these to counsel on the break, but I'm going to approach with states 7 through 14.
Yes, you may.
You would look through states exhibits 7 through 14 to tell me if they fairly and accurately depict what you observed on May the 7th of 2019.
They do.
At this time, state would tender states 7 through 14.
Any objection?
Your Honor, I believe one of them is repetitive to a pit drive set previously tendered. I'm not sure what the harm would be showing it again, but I think it is repetitive of one that previous.
So is there an objection to that particular one?
I think it's almost the same picture. I just bring it to the court and it's repetitive.
Okay. So I'm going to admit that.
Thank you, Judge.
He couldn't verbalize the objection.
May I publish it?
Yes, you may.
Using State's Exhibit number 7. You have a screen, but I'm going to just be pointing this. Makes everyone's life easier.
Okay.
Is this the location where you found the vehicles when you first arrived?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And can you kind of describe the lanes and the intersection that we're looking at?
This lane on the right-hand side that the pickup truck is in is the turning lane from Forest Parkway onto Riverdale Road northbound.
Okay.
There's the median.
And the black Jeep?
The black Jeep is mostly in the lane to the left of that, which is a straight through lane through that intersection northbound.
And using State's Exhibit number 8, what angle have we moved to at this point?
This is, the picture is facing southbound now.
In front of the, and I'm asking, I know we can all see it, but for the record, is this from the, in front of the two vehicles?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you describe what you see about the wheels of the Jeep?
They're angled to the right.
Are they angled toward the pickup truck?
Yes.
And do you see there's some, the vehicles appear to be touching at the back. Would that be accurate?
Yes, ma'am.
And State's Exhibit number 9. Let's let it focus. Okay. Describe what we're looking at in State's Exhibit number 9.
That is the victim's vehicle.
And in addition to where the two vehicles are touching on the driver's side of the victim's vehicle and the passenger side rear of the defendant's vehicle, is there obvious other damage to Mr. Herring's vehicle?
Yes.
And does there appear to be toward the ground some fluids and whatever coming out of that vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
That'll buff out.
And can you say if some of these photographs or most of these photographs were taken after a lot of the witnesses and the traffic had kind of left the area?
That's correct.
And State's Exhibit number 10, can you just kind of describe what we're looking at in State's Exhibit number 10?
This is through the driver's side
Thank you,
window
Emily. Great
of the
comment.
victim's vehicle after he had been transported out by EMS.
And to your knowledge, was that window down when you arrived?
It was.
And you can see some gloves and kind of some evidence of the medical intervention.
Yes.
Is that correct? Did you also see inside the vehicle what appeared to be some sort of work ID that Mr. Herring had been wearing when he was shot?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that kind of removed and located in the vehicle with a bullet hole?
It was.
What? There was a bullet hole through his badge. I did not know that.
And did y'all also kind of photograph from the other side, from the looking from the passenger side, some items that were just the content and the state of the victim's vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's what we're looking at in State's Exhibit number 12.
Correct.
And this one might be the repeat, but did you also kind of photograph the center console and just the entire front passenger compartment of the vehicle?
Yes, ma'am, from the county photographer.
Was it photographed? I guess that's the better way to say it. Okay. Did you also observe basically what the back of Mr. Herring's vehicle looked like on the scene?
Yes, ma'am.
So we see, for the record, a laundry basket, what appears to be a trash bag, and some other items. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that's basically how his vehicle looked when you arrived to that accident location in Forest Parkway?
Yes, it was.
In Clayton County, let me say that. During the course of your time on the scene, did you realize or become aware that this situation was related to a traffic accident further down the road?
Yes, I believe our dispatchers came over and said that the victim's vehicle matched the description of that vehicle.
Okay. And did you have anything to do with that other scene at all?
I did not.
Your Honor, the state, for the record, the state is about to approach the witness with a firearm. That firearm has been cleared and inspected by your courtroom deputies to ensure that it is safe to be in this courtroom.
Okay, I want to see if this is a compact or a full-size frame.
And I've also allowed inspection by counsel during the break. So if I approach with State's Exhibit number 15, you would look at State's Exhibit number 15 and you can look at the contents. Let me know if you recognize State's Exhibit number 15.
So we're about to see
Yes.
How do you
evidence.
recognize State's Exhibit number 15?
This is what I entered into evidence.
Okay, and does it contain the box itself? Does it have your name on it indicating that you recovered State's Exhibit number 15?
Yes, it does.
And other than the fact that it has labels and indications that the firearm has been to the crime lab for testing, is the firearm in the same or substantially the same condition as it was once you cleared it and made sure that it was unloaded?
Yes.
Under this time, State tenders State's Exhibit 15.
No objection.
Admitted without objection.
And other than the fact that it has zip ties through the barrel and it is zip tied to the box, this would be the condition of that firearm. Is that accurate?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to leave the magazine here on the table, but can you turn the box and display the firearm to the jury, please?
Secure it in there.
Yes.
Okay, that is a compact.
Can you tell us the make and model of this firearm?
Hellcat?
Springfield XD9.
XD9.
And what is the caliber?
9mm.
It's got a 3-inch barrel,
You
subcompact.
also recover the rounds that were contained in the magazine, plus the shell casing and the holster that the gun was in.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Showing you what has been pre-marked as State's Exhibits 16, 17, and 18. Can you look at 16 first and tell me if you recognize 16?
It's the holster that it was in.
And is that an item that was handed to you that you placed into evidence for this case?
Yes, ma'am.
And is it in the same or substantially the same condition, other than the fact that the gun is removed from it, as when it was handed to you on May the 7th of 2019?
It is.
State tenders State's Exhibit number 16.
Any objection?
I couldn't see from back here.
This is the same one I showed you during the break.
No objection.
Okay, admitted without objection.
And the rounds that were removed from the magazine that we've seen in State's Exhibit number 15, did you also collect those as State's Exhibit number 17?
Yes, ma'am.
State tender State's Exhibit number 17.
Any objection? Okay, admitted without objection.
And did you also, as you indicated, when you tried to clear the gun, there was a shell casing that was next up to fire versus an actual round. Did you place that shell casing in evidence?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm showing you what's labeled as State's Exhibit number 18. Can you look at the other side and see if it indicates that that is an item that you placed into evidence?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you alter it or tamper with it in any way?
I did not.
State tender State's Exhibit number 18.
If I could see it for my closer look at it, I'm not speeding in it.
Okay,
I won't have
okay.
an objection.
I have it if you can.
That's a no objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, admitted without objection.
May I ask the deputy if the gun goes with him? I don't know where they want us to leave a firearm. We're required to keep guns and ammo separate.
Right.
Back on May the 7th of 2019, can you describe whether you had a body camera?
I did.
How did those body cameras work, to your knowledge?
Similar to the ones that we wear now. I believe these are upgraded, but it's just activated by a push button on our remote, and then it records until it's turned off.
Okay. And how are the recordings kept?
They're automatically uploaded to a cloud that our department keeps record of.
And once it's uploaded to that cloud, do you have any ability to go in there and delete things, change things, alter things at all?
No, ma'am.
Were you wearing your department issue 19?
Yes, I was.
And have you had an opportunity to observe and
Give me a second. We're going to see if we can get this
view the recording of that body cam?
Yes, ma'am.
And does the recording fairly and accurately depict what you recall as it occurred as you were working this scene?
Yes, it does.
Showing you what's been pre-marked as State's Exhibit number 19. Do you recognize State's Exhibit number 19?
Yes, I do.
And other than the fact that it's labeled Officer Richie BWC, which is body worn camera, does it have your initials indicating that you viewed it?
Yes, it does.
And when you viewed State's Exhibit number 19, it contained what you observed?
Yes.
I'm going to at this time state the tender State's Exhibit number 19 with the caveat, as we discussed pre-trial, the state is tendering up until minute 13 with 13 and 15 seconds.
And I'll briefly approach to next slide.
Okay, you may.
I'm tempted to do a poll that has 4 options, and you have to say if you lean guilty or not guilty. And I realize we normally don't do this until it's over, but there would be 4 options. It would be you have to out yourself for your own personal stance on firearms. If I'm against people owning guns, or I'm for people owning guns. And I realize that's a broad statement to lump you into. And then as a subcategory, if you're for or against, do you think she's guilty or not guilty? And I wonder if there's a correlation, because I know we've got some strong opinions and people asking some great questions in chat. I'm just wondering if that would be somebody who's better at statistics and stuff. Help me understand. Would that be an effective quiz, effective poll? I will tell you the one thing that stood out to me so far is the only ammunition we've seen presented, and we didn't see the ammunition in this case. It's all sealed, but the ammunition that was in the defendant's vehicle was an open box of 9mm ammunition that was what we call a full metal jacket, meaning the tip, the bullet portion that actually the projectile that flies out of the gun when it's discharged, it has a solid like copper tip. The ammunition that was retrieved from the victim's body after the shooting had what we call a mushroomed tip that mushroomed with segments, so it peels back like a flower that blooms with petals, and that is a hollow point tip. So it's a very different tip than what the ammunition is. That's the only concern I've seen so far. I don't know how I could phrase that quote phrase that poll without causing problems. Because any way I word it, it's going to be like, well, you didn't take this into account, or I'm okay with gun ownership as long as there's certain thresholds met, or things like that. So I don't know how I could do it with just 4 questions and make it work. We don't know the makeup of the jury in this one yet. We haven't heard anything. I imagine it's probably representative of the area in Clayton County, Georgia. But don't know gender, age, anything like that. Are there lesser charges on this list? Well, there are some charges that don't carry the same weight as malice murder. False imprisonment it doesn't carry the same weight as malice murder. But I imagine it just in my head, no mercy on the mods. Yeah, let's do a gun poll. I imagine if they get her on unlawful detainment, I'd be surprised if they don't find guilty on the other charges as well. I think that's going to be like the linchpin. If they think that she did the unlawful detainment, then she was in the wrong at that point, which is before the altercation began. And if she's in the wrong before the altercation begins and she's escalating, then there's going to be guilty across the board.
The state was tender, State Exhibit number 19 1315.
And I would raise the objection we have the bench understand the court's rule.
Okay. So the record will reflect that it will stop at 13:50.
Yes, and it's admitted.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so he's objected and it was overruled.
Permission to publish, Judge?
We should have body cam video here.
Not finished. I'm just going to sit while it's playing.
Okay.
Stay on and speak for that being a minute.
This might be lengthy, just so you know. Please be aware, this may have alarming content in it. This is a police officer responding to an incident and observing things firsthand, and his camera is capturing a lot of what he's observing from a very similar angle to his vantage point. Just... I've got to turn this off because it's got music. I can't play the music or else I'm going to get struck and we all lose the feed. I'm sorry. It's his ringtone, but if it's copyright sound, I'm going to get struck. Okay, there we go.
Guns in the car. No, I don't. All right. Yeah, let me get that. Oh, you ain't that, bro. You have that, bro. 1228.
There might be some sensitive images here. Just your discretion advised. Look how he's turned. Look at the body position. .69 is the police code for a firearm.
On there, it's not, it's all bleeding internally. If you don't move your arm, I got his head. Hey, sir, stay with me, okay? Can you talk to me at all? Hey, sir, you got a name? Yeah, man. What's your name? You about to go, dude. Sir, keep your eyes open for me, okay? Y'all ain't got no... No, we don't have any ambulance, got him. All right. Hey, sir, stay with me. Stay with me, sir. Yeah. Yeah, we seen all the time, dude. She stopped. Anyway, the car, sir. Yeah, I'm not going to Hey, sir, okay? Yeah, hang on, okay? I don't know if there's an exit. Give me, man. Hey, go ahead. You'll be all right, man. There's insulin down on the ground. Why is that happening? Get your hand. I have no idea how you feel, man. Let me just bless you. Hey, Amos, can you grab that? See if that's an every grab? No, that's all. Highlighter. Just for work. All right. Stay with me, man. To get a feeling? Yeah, so. Are we really going to know it's a gunshot? Yeah. We see that. $469 on my pocket. You recorded it? Yes, I did. You see that video, man? Stay with me, buddy. Yeah, anyway. You talk to me now? She got straight out of the vehicle, right? So anyway, keep your eyes open, okay? Tight vehicle. Stay with me, okay? Anyway, she kept reaching in. Yeah. And then moments later, then we got her. Hey, where's Matthews? Shot once? They only shot once? Yes, sir, right. She only had one shot. And she shot it, she reached in and got it. Yeah, he told us to do that, sir. Get Matthew over here. Matthew! I didn't need him doing that. Oh. Hey, sir, stay with me, okay? Stay with me. Take care of you, all right? We're here for you, okay? Hang tight, all right? Everyone's on there too, okay? Just keep your eyes open. Keep your head up if you can. 28, 7 minutes. Well, come down to southbound side. We're south traffic. Stay with me, man. Okay, stay with me. All right. Try to get somebody to replace this guy. If you can put your hand, what do you got your hand on my hand? I'm taking you guys both. All right, here, smile like this video. Hey, we're going to switch places with you, sir. All right. Ready? All right, man, stay up with me, okay? Can you talk at all? Can you tell me anything? Come on, sir, stay with me, okay? Just keep breathing. Hey, what's your name? Just keep breathing, man, okay? I know it works, keep breathing. Come on, like you look, okay? The thing that comes down on your phone, okay? That's a minor. Come on, stay with me, man. Keep breathing, okay? $30 or anything? He's probably got a wallet in his pocket. He's phone below you? Yeah. I'm assuming so. So stay with me, man. Hang tight. Come on, sir. Just keep breathing, okay? Keep breathing. Strong breathing. We got you now. That's them coming up right now. Somewhat, yes. Yes. It's going to be the belly button. Abdominal area. Come on, man. Keep breathing, okay? Just focus on me right now. Keep breathing. That's all you got to do. gunshot here. Super weak pulsing. Barely breathing. We just driving. What happened? They got into a wreck and the lady, they got hit out of it. Okay, you're 200 traffic. You just have a moment to talk. Barely. We got a single exit room right here. I don't know if there's an exit. We haven't been able to move it far enough to find out. Where's that hallway?
There's the ringtone going off again. Get a chance at you. Keeps going over and over. And they're not hanging up.
Just hand up there, throw the honey board. Got it. Is it just a hole one you saw? Yeah. I don't know if there's anything. I got the hole. I got his one go. I got it all. Got his arm. He wants to go to the other side. Got his other arm. There's a patient prisoner right there. No, we won't see anything. Patient, aren't you breathing?
I realized that looked like it was a long time. The officer just realizes he's climbed on needles. He's looking on. He sees needles that he was just kneeling on.
You just keep an eye on that. We got shit to the needles. I don't know if it's AD or diabetic shit.
Officer immediately says could be diabetic.
Traffic conditions that we were just kind of viewing in the body cam, was that more consistent with like all the cars and everything that were around on that particular day?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you recall, after watching the body cam that we just watched, seeing yourself take the keys out of the ignition and put them on the floor?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The part in there I thought might be viewed as prejudicial was when the officer said,
Any cross-examination, Attorney?
this guy struck the other lady and she jumped out and shot him. And I don't think he had time to ascertain those facts. And he definitely didn't observe them himself.
Was it still officer? Is it lieutenant yet? Or
Sergeant.
Sergeant. Congratulations. All right. I noticed in this video here, you came upon the scene after the fact, correct?
Yes, sir.
So you didn't see how the impact of the two vehicles, how it occurred, correct?
Correct.
But you could see where there was impact.
Correct.
All right, and you'd heard that there was an accident further down the road, as you said, Forest Parkway and Riverdale Road, correct?
Yes, sir.
And was there signs of damage to the vehicle, the truck, from that accident?
I'm not sure about that initial accident, but the whole front end of the truck was damaged.
Okay. So, and you've been working patrol how many years prior to that?
10 years.
So you've seen a lot of accidents, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that appeared to be where the truck made some major impact, correct?
I wouldn't say major impact.
It made enough impact to do that damage that you see on the pictures and
On the front right side of the truck, yes.
Before I go that way, I'll go ahead and present State's Exhibit 7.
I'll change it back to,
Okay. And prefer it that way?
That's upside down on my screen.
Okay. That way, correct?
Yeah.
And when you approach it, that's the view that you saw?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And of course, there's a median way behind it. Well, not way behind it, but behind it. Was there any indication that there was a vehicle that hit that median before that, from your experience and your training, seeing the accident?
I didn't check the median on scene, but in this picture, I don't see anything that would indicate that.
But you did check the vehicles, the tires of both the Jeep and the truck?
Yes, there was on scene.
Did it appear that any of those had damage from hitting a median?
I couldn't tell what damaged the vehicles.
Okay. But you have seen damage from vehicles hitting the median, correct?
Correct.
And as your initial review of this, it didn't appear that those vehicles had damage from hitting a median?
They didn't have any damage to the tires that would come from hitting the median.
All right, and you stated you came up there and a lot of people had gathered around, correct?
Yes, sir.
So how long do you anticipate it was from hearing what they said the incident occurred and getting on the scene?
About a minute.
About a minute. And more people were gathering during that period of time?
I'm not sure. I just remember seeing a crowd of people once I arrived. I'm not sure who stopped and came and went after that.
Okay, but from that picture right there, does that seem to be a fair and accurate representation of what it looked like when you got on the scene?
No, there was a much larger crowd of people, much more traffic passing through the area. This is after we locked the entire intersection down and did not let anybody come back into that scene.
So it's fair to say that using State's Exhibit number 9, it's fair to say that that's an accurate representation of the damage to the Red Dakota?
Yes, sir.
And from that angle of view, the damage that is on the right hand of the truck, that appears to be from a previous incident or a previous accident, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And does that appear to be significant damage, or?
I'd say that's pretty significant, yes.
And there's radiation fluid leaking from underneath it?
I'm not sure what kind of fluid it is, but yes.
Fluid.
It's
And it
not
appears to be
radiation
coming
fluid.
from the vehicle, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And from that, there does appear to be contact between the truck and the Jeep, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, from that angle there, it appears, maybe we can get there. From this angle there, your testimony was that it appears the Jeep was in the lane going straight and the truck was in the merging lane, correct?
Looks like the Jeep is mostly in that straightforward lane. Yes.
Okay. And in this picture here, where it appears they ended up, the final resting of the two vehicles, it doesn't appear that that Jeep is too far out of that one lane, correct?
I mean, it is out of its lane of travel.
But it's a foot, 2 foot out of it?
Yeah, about that.
And generally with those merging lanes, there's a little bit more space so that they have time to merge into the lane of traffic that appears the Jeep has slowly deviated from, correct?
Yeah, there should be enough space to merge.
So it's fair to say that generally the right-hand side of the truck would be kind of a fair representation of what is open or what could be used to drive around, or an accident if it happened, that people could go around it, or an ambulance vehicle could go around it without being obstructed or hindered.
Could go around the truck?
Yes, on the right-hand side.
They'd be pushing it before they hit the curb for an ambulance or something like that.
But hitting the curb in those circumstances,
Yeah,
it's not a big deal, and that curb is not that high, correct?
Correct.
It can be done without damage to a vehicle or damage to a tire.
I mean, depending on the speed.
Okay. But it could occur, correct?
It could occur.
Okay. And the impact that you see there, it wouldn't be difficult for that truck to either back up a little bit and continue going forward, or to kind of just push the vehicle forward and move forward?
Well, I don't think you'd be able to push it forward because of the contact with the tire, but if you put it in reverse, you can probably jump the curb and get around it.
Okay. And you can do that fairly simple?
I mean, depending on your level of driving skill.
Okay. All right. Now, when you did arrive, you immediately walked up and you secured the weapon, correct?
Correct.
And the individual handed you the weapon and was hanging around. No fear of her leaving the scene. Did you have any fear of her leaving the scene?
I did not.
Do you have any fear of her handing you the weapon?
No.
Okay. And when you took the weapon, you weren't wearing gloves, were you?
When I initially took it, I was not.
Okay. And the major portion of initially when you got there was trying to mitigate or kind of keep people away from the truck or away from the scene that was going on?
Yeah, my first concern was securing the scene and then analyzing the victim and see what was going on.
Because there were some civilians inside the truck assisting?
There was that gentleman that helped us with the first aid, yes, sir.
Okay. And when you first arrived, Mr. Herring was alive?
Yes, he had a pulse.
Okay. And as you were inside the vehicle, as you attempted to get in on the driver's side, the door appeared to be stuck or inoperable?
I couldn't get it open. I'm not sure if it was operator error or if it was locked in some way that I couldn't figure out, but I had to go through the passenger side.
Okay. Could an accident that had previously happened causing that damage cause the door to be jammed or stuck?
Causing the damage to the passenger side?
No, to the driver's side where you initially tried to get in.
I didn't see any noticeable damage on the driver's side door, and Officer Holloway, when he responded, was eventually able to get that door open.
So, but initially you felt it was locked or it couldn't be open?
Yes, sir.
And there was a lock on the inside of the door that could be used to open and lock to secure the door from not being open, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And as you got into the car, I noticed that there was talk about what all was lying around on the ground. At one point they said, "Oh, is that an EpiPen?" Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And that was not an EpiPen?
It was not.
It was a highlighter?
Yeah, I think it did end up being a highlighter.
Okay. And there were numerous, what appeared to be needles throughout. And did anybody collect those needles?
We took the whole vehicle to the CSI bay with the needles inside.
Okay, but nobody actually touched those needles, correct?
No, sir.
Okay, and that's procedure. If you don't know what kind of needle it is, you don't want to put yourself in jeopardy. So in your training, it's until the needle has been identified, no one really touches it, correct?
Right.
And that did occur on that day?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you said that you went around to the other door and you were able to open that to get inside, correct?
Yes.
And there was not much blood anywhere in the scene or on the victim, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there was no way really to tell how much bleeding was occurring.
Correct.
Okay. And at one point, you heard a lot of individuals saying, "We need an ambulance. Get an ambulance out here." Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you ever hear Miss Payne saying that they needed an ambulance?
Not individually, no.
But you could hear in the background with the others saying they needed an ambulance?
Yes.
Okay. So it wasn't apparent that she was trying to hinder in any way of getting medical attention to Mr. Herring?
No, she wasn't.
Okay. And during the whole process, she didn't try to hinder anything that was going on. She was cooperative and followed instructions, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you see that she was talking to some of the other witnesses there?
Yes, she did appear to be arguing with one of the witnesses.
Okay, but nothing of those arguments raised to be anything physical. It was just communication back and forth, right?
Yeah, I never saw any physical contact.
And even though it appeared to be getting heated, nothing really turned into physical, correct?
Not that I saw.
Okay.
Thank you, Arbauer. Huge gifts.
Got in there and started looking around the vehicle. There were all kinds of items in that vehicle, correct?
Yes, sir.
Were there any various items that were seen in there initially appeared to be trash from that angle?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And was the console opened and appeared to be in that kind of condition when you got into the vehicle?
I don't believe the center console was open when I was in the vehicle.
Did you open the center console?
I did not.
Okay. And that's the way it appeared when you got into the vehicle?
The closed center console.
Okay.
Arbauer has been super generous. 75 memberships gifted today.
And looking into that center console, is anything of importance that you would see there that you would use in your investigation?
This witness's opinion of what he sees when he just indicated that it was closed when he was there, it's not closed. Your response?
He sees a open portion of the console. He was the one doing the investigation on the scene. If he saw it in this kind of condition when pictures were taken, I think he can make an assessment if anything in there would be important in his investigation.
Okay, I think his indication was that it was closed.
But now that it is open and he sees it, he can assess if there was anything in there that would be helpful in his investigation.
It is Chief Assistant Smith.
Judge, I stand by my objection. It was closed for this particular officer. His opinion about what's in there, I think, is irrelevant at this time.
And I could ask him a different way about the...
Well, I'm going to sustain the objection. His testimony that when he arrived on scene, it was closed. Anything he would say is not going to be relevant because it was closed when he arrived.
And in further your investigation, did you ever make it back to the truck to see that the console was open?
I can't recall.
You can't recall. Okay. Were there other people assisting you in the investigation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and who was that?
Off the top of my head, I can remember Officer Holloway, Officer Amos, Sergeant Marion, Detective Hayward came out to the scene. I think Officer Matthews was there, who I was yelling for in the video. That's all I can remember off the top of my head.
Okay, and all of them were there to assist in the investigation, correct?
Yes, during that initial call that we got.
So the presumption is one of them opened that console. If you did not see it in that manner, from your experience and training, somebody opened the console to see what the contents were, correct?
Yes, somebody opened the console.
And they would have done that to try to investigate, see if there's anything that is significant or could assist in your investigation.
But you can't speculate as to why other people opened the console.
Your Honor, he's been an investigator and actually on patrol that deals with situations like this. I think his training and experience, if it's open, if one of his colleagues is there to assist him and they open it, there's a reason, and I think he can testify that if there is a reason, it would be for the significance of it.
Anything further, Chief Assistant?
I stand by my objection about this whole line of questioning.
Okay, so I am going to sustain the objection, Attorney Tucker.
Okay. So your testimony is that everything was closed, there was nothing that you observed because you were concentrating on the victim at that time, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that as you were concentrating on that, other individuals that were there to assist in the investigation were the ones that were investigating and attempting to collect things significant.
Yes, sir.
Okay. But the only thing you saw significant was needles all throughout the truck and on the floorboard.
Yes, sir.
And at that time, there was no way to determine what kind of needles they were or what they were used for, so everybody just kind of let it be.
Correct.
How many needles were there from your estimate, from what you saw?
I'm not sure how many needles there were. I remember noticing a significant amount of the little orange caps that go on the needles. And once I saw that one needle in the towel, I kind of backed off of it. I'd say about 5 to 10 of those orange caps that I saw.
And you said you backed away from the needle because?
I didn't want anybody going in there and start looking around and get poked by one of those needles.
And so it was for safety?
Yes.
Okay. And you said that there were significant amount of tops or reminiscences of needles throughout the truck?
I don't know about throughout the truck, but in that passenger seat where I was at, yes, sir.
In the passenger seat directly by the driver's seat, correct?
Yes, sir.
Were there any, and once again, use your memory or if I can find a better picture. So initially, what we saw in the body cam, which had the console closed, and just various trash and needles. That's about all you saw because you were concentrating on assisting Mr. Herring, correct?
Yes, sir.
And upon assisting Mr. Herring, you were able to get him out of the vehicle and into the ambulance?
Yes, sir.
And he was still alive at that time, correct?
I'm not sure what happened on the stretcher ride to the ambulance, but yes, sir.
Okay, but at what point did you leave the tending to Mr. Herring?
Leave the what? I'm sorry.
The tending to or the assistance?
Oh, as soon as they got him from the driver's seat to the stretcher and into the ambulance.
Okay. And at that point, he was still alive and still?
He was unresponsive, had a very weak pulse.
But still alive?
Yes, sir.
And did you ever go back to investigate the initial accident?
The accident that happened before?
Yes, sir.
This one? No, I did not. That was a separate officer.
And do you know what officer did go back and investigate it?
I don't recall.
Guys, be nice. We've got strong opinions both ways. Let's pay attention to what's going on in court and be nice to each other. We can agree to disagree as well.
From your training and experience,
She wants him to take down the exhibit when he goes on to the next question.
and from your training and experience and a knowledge of working accidents, from the picture that we initially were looking at, would it appear, in your knowledge and training experience, that the Jeep would ever have to jump that median to get in front of the truck?
Which median?
The median that's clearly right there at the front of the picture. Kind of got a glare on it.
Down here in the bottom left?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Based on the way that intersection is, if she went around the median, then you would probably have to jump that, depending on how close you were. If I can get an overhead picture, it'd be easier to explain. Because there's those concrete medians that have the crosswalk signs on them at all four corners of that intersection.
Okay. Taught how to do this earlier. What color would you like?
Blue? Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Excuse me?
It's up to you.
We'll get blue. How about that? Be consistent. All right. Okay, I believe you could use that to mark or to use as an exhibit to show with the Jeep being in that position and the traffic that you saw and the truck as you see it as it is, would it appear that the Jeep would have to jump the median to get to that position?
That's the same question.
No.
Okay. And from the statements that you were hearing and the witnesses going back and forth, did it appear anyone say she jumped the median?
Not that I can recall.
Okay. If I may approach.
Yes, you may.
Should look at fence exhibit number 36.
She's going to object.
And I don't want you to reference it if it was not what you saw when you were on the scene. But do you recall that's what it looked like when you initially got on the scene and went into the vehicle?
Roughly. I'm not sure about the cell phone there.
Okay. And is that a fair and accurate representation of what it appeared to be when you got on the scene inside the vehicle?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this time I would tender defense exhibit number 36.
Any objection? Certainly.
I'll get it for you if you like.
The judge can call him out for it if she's not a big fan of that, but this judge seems to allow it. The judge also allows the speaking objections. The only problem with speaking objections, they're good for us because we get to hear what everyone's thinking. But the problem with a speaking objection is the jury is sitting there. A lot of times an objection's raised saying, hey, he's about to say this that the jury's not supposed to hear. And a speaking objection basically reinforces the thing you don't want the jury to hear. And so that's the only thing that's strange about speaking objections here. I will say that I'm starting to see a little bit of a reason on the defense attorney for why he's asking so much about is there room to drive around? Because if there was room to drive around, that could be a defense saying she did not, by parking where she did in the road, she did not cause unlawful detainment. Because she could have gone around.
If you take a good look at that, I'm going to go back to publish it, and then I'll make sure you can mark it. Oh. And I'll state to him that I will publish it and allow him to have the opportunity to mark it.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, publish it, Your Honor.
Yes.
All right. Nope. Edit. You're pretty good. All right.
He's like, look, Judge, I'm learning.
You got it.
It's working the tech.
Fair and accurate representation.
It's upside down.
Of the document I just showed you that you verified was what it appeared in the front seat of the car?
Yes.
I mean the truck when you first got there?
Yeah.
All right. What do you see amongst all that?
So the needle caps, whatever's in that bag there, cell phone hooked up with cord, this little flashlight thing down the bottom left, and that white towel that was over the seat.
Okay. And you said whatever was in that bag?
Yes, sir.
That bag that has blue writing on it?
Yes, sir.
Well, what is it? That's what the glare's got. And here, you may be able to, if I can approach you again, see it better here. Is there any other bags that are below the bag you were referencing that you could see?
Looks like some clear plastic bag.
Okay, and then there appears to be just one, or how many clear plastic bags?
I can't tell. They're all scrunched up together, it looks like.
Does there appear to be something within that clear plastic bag?
Not sure if it's the reflection or seeing through the bag to the white towel, but I can't tell based on this picture.
But it appears to be something.
It could be.
Okay, could be. So, in your training and experience of working accidents and patrol, and I'm going to go ahead and allow you the ability to mark it. And I believe you should be able to mark there. Did you point out the bag that we were just discussing or circle it?
You're talking about this one right here?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And you said the contents, you're unsure what it is based on that view, correct?
Yeah.
And in your experience and knowledge of training and dealing with that, would that be something you would collect as evidence just to verify what is in that bag?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you would take that into custody and zip it up in an evidence bag, and you would take it to a lab, or you would send it off to a lab?
It depends on what we suspected it of being, but usually we send that to the GBI's lab.
Okay, and if you were to send something like that, what would you ask them to test for?
Okay, this is frustrating for those of us that are sitting here watching this. Defense attorney keeps hammering the same thing that there could be drugs, and I realize he's asked specifically about some drugs that weren't tested or weren't tested for. I mean, they did test for a ton of them, but there might have been drugs that weren't tested for in his toxicology work that was done post-mortem. He's going for this. He's going for that he is on something, that he was on something, that he was on something. There was something in the car. It could have been on drugs. There could have been something in the cooler. You know, you didn't open the cooler. It could have been, full of all sorts of, whiskey and vodka and whatever else. He was on something. And all the evidence we have is that he was not on anything. That's the hard thing. There's no drugs. There's no drugs. All we have is that people are saying he's diabetic. Okay? And he used insulin. he may have not been diagnosed, to do that. He might have been getting that treating himself. I don't know, but we haven't heard that there's any formal diagnosis or doctor's medical records indicating that. But the family says diabetic. They say he had insulin. He had to use insulin. So okay. Totally unreasonable behavior by this defendant. She chose to think she knew best. I hope she's found guilty, says AB. Well, possibly. She may be. I agree that there were so many points along this path that she could have, and hopefully I would have, if I were in the same situation, chosen a different path than what she did. It is his job to call out shoddy police reports. Yeah, I haven't seen like really negligent work here. The fact that you can find something in a photo of a crime scene and it wasn't, bagged and documented. And so I don't know, there's a huge stretch to say because there's a little plastic bag that looks like there's something in it, you should have taken that to the crime scene. And shaking his head, I think I lost that one too. Did I count this objection?
And if I may approach.
Or are we on 26 now?
You may.
Oh, it's not. Okay. Now, in your investigation and brief, your statements were that you were there basically to assist Mr. Herring, and other people did the rest of the investigation, correct?
I would say the rest of the investigation, they assisted where they could.
Excuse me?
I wouldn't say the rest of the investigation, but they assisted where they could. The other officers did.
Did you ever make it back to the scene to investigate the vehicles?
What do you mean back to the scene?
To the scene. Well, you never left the scene. Did you ever go back and start investigating, looking in both vehicles?
No, at that point it was turned over to our detectives and the CSI personnel.
So after basically assisting Mr. Herring and making sure he got into the ambulance and he was alive, you kind of would step back and let the other team go in there and do their investigation, right?
Oh, yes, sir. We turned it over to our detectives at that point.
And those detectives were the ones you mentioned earlier, correct?
Detective Hayward was the one that came out to the scene, yes.
Okay, but there was a Sergeant Maynard or
Marion?
Yeah.
Yes.
And there was a Hollis Amos or Holloman?
Holloway and Amos are two different officers.
Okay. And anyone else?
Not that I can recall.
Okay.
So we'll count that objection. Sorry I missed that one. That makes it 24-2 as far as the rulings for the judge so far. And we expect that to slant the other direction later.
Okay. Thank you, Attorney Tucker. And redirect, Chief Assistant Smith.
Just very briefly, you were asked if you had any concerns about the defendant fleeing. Would you agree that she was detained shortly after you and the other officers arrived?
Yes.
And at the time that you are first getting there, did you have the benefit of having listened to any of the 911 calls that had been placed in this case?
No.
So did you have any idea what any of the background was as far as the earlier accident and what dispatch had been saying? Did you have any of that knowledge when you're getting on scene?
No, ma'am.
And you were asked if the defendant hindered any medical attention after you arrived. Is that correct?
Correct.
Did you ever see her provide any?
I did not.
Thank you.
And at that point when you arrived, was there any opportunity to provide any kind of medical assistance?
From the time that we were flagged down to the time that I arrived, there was time.
Okay. And then you said she shortly was taken and detained, correct?
Short. As soon as my sergeant came up, he was on foot and I was in a vehicle. So once he arrived on the scene, she was detained.
And when she was detained, there's no way she could give any assistance, correct?
Right.
Okay. And
Sergeant walked
Did
to the
you
crime scene.
eventually go back and find out more about this incident?
Since when?
From when you stated that was kind of you didn't know about the 911 calls, you didn't know about the previous accident. Did you ever go back to look into that or find out what happened?
Yes, I talked to Detective Hayward shortly after the incident.
So you were able to hear that there was a accident with the red truck leading that accident, correct?
Yes, sir.
And there was a 911 tape that actually caught what was going on through the commentary of a correctional officer, correct?
I'm not sure about a correctional officer.
A Mr. Turner?
I'm not sure.
So you don't know the names, but you did hear somebody on the phone with 911 as the red Dakota drove off?
I'm not sure about what happened in that first wreck.
So your extent of the investigation to go back and find out what happened previous accident was kind of limited?
Yes, sir.
And your curiosity ever wanted to know what happened at the first incident?
Not really.
Okay. Another question.
Anything further from the state?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. May this witness be excused?
Yes, please.
Okay.
So he needs to split, yes, ma'am.
Okay, you're excused, Sergeant. Have a good evening.
Okay, so subject to recall, that means the defense might call this officer for their
Does the
case.
state intend to call any other witnesses this
We
afternoon?
didn't call any other witnesses today, but maybe we approach to just determine the court's preference about the next steps.
Yes, Sergeant.
Guess what we get? Another sidebar. So they're not going to have any more witnesses today. We're ending about an hour earlier than normal. We know we have one witness from the state on Monday, and then the state's about ready to rest. My question is, has the state proved to you beyond reasonable doubt all elements of the charges? It's interesting. We'll see what happens with this final witness as well. Someone did pay $32,000 for her to be out on bond. That's a 10% bond. That's standard. It's a lot of money. Drugs were not found in his system, and even if they were, that does not justify getting shot. I agree. The fact that somebody does drugs does not make them guilty and worthy of being shot, but it may influence our perception of the facts of the case. If someone was on a drug, say for say that is known to cause violence and high strength and what is it? Cocaine,
So,
crack?
ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we're going to recess for the evening. I know it has been a long week, and the good news is that you get to go home now. The good news also is that we'll return Monday morning at 9. The state has other witnesses or that it will call on Monday, and so my previous instructions, and I'll just reiterate because there are a couple that I have to emphasize. Again, do not do any independent research with respect to this case. No social media lookups or postings. No checking the media as to what media is displaying on television with respect to this case. Do not visit the area, Forest Parkway, Riverdale 85, and those are the instructions that the court will give you this afternoon. Of course, it is Friday. Enjoy the time with your family and with your friends. Ensure that you get some rest. And we'll see you
She always
here
tells
on
people to
Monday
get some
morning.
sleep.
We anticipate that
Get some sleep, get some rest.
I'm going to bring you back here at 9 o'clock so that we can start at 9:30 on Monday. I know it's a little delayed, but there's another matter that the court has to take care of, and so I'm asking you to be here at 9 so that we can start at 9:30.
Okay, so we're going to start at 9 on Monday as well. Don't let me forget that. Well, the jury leaves. We have Carla on the phone. Carla, the judge might have something to tell us here in just a minute. So if she starts talking, I'm going to have to cut you off just a little bit.
I can wait. I'll wait until she finishes up, and then I'll call again.
Oh, okay. You're good. She's quiet right now, but they might just have a little bit to do. If you want to hold for just one more minute, you might be ready right now. So just hang on. So thanks, Carla.
Sure.
All right. The jury's filing out of the room right now, and they are going home for the weekend. They're not being sequestered. It's actually I don't think I've seen. Let's see. I don't think I've seen a trial since was Alex Murdaugh where they sequestered on the Murdaugh trial just for deliberations. I can't think of any other trial that they sequestered the jury on. It's not something we see very often. But they got a pretty thorough instruction not to do the things they should not do. Are we going to take a Google cruise to the area? If I can find it on the map, and so far I have not been able to. I'm I guess directionally impaired, so we'll have to do that.
Is there anything further that we need to address counsels before I adjourn for the evening?
Judge, I wasn't sure if you were going to read the thing that judges read to defendants while they're having to make a decision about testifying. Not for her to provide any answer today, just to have the information to think about it.
Okay.
That's your choice.
Weird that she tells the judge she should inform the witness to make an informed consent decision about testifying in court.
I don't mind the instructions being done as long as there's no implication or any kind of pressure to make an answer today. We have to wait for the state to conclude their case.
Okay, so this is just my informing the defendant of her rights at this point. There is no pressure to make a decision this evening. Certainly you can communicate to the court whatever decision you've made once the state has closed its evidence.
Hang tight, Carla. We'll get back to you just in a minute when the judge is ready. Might be a few minutes.
Ms. Payne, do you understand that you have a right to testify, and if you want to testify, then no one can prevent you from doing so? Do you understand that no one can make or compel you to testify? That is, do you understand that you have a right to not testify if you do not want to? Do you understand that your lawyer do you understand that not your lawyer and that you personally are the one who decides whether or not you will testify? Yes, ma'am. Do you understand that if you do not testify, then upon proper request by you, the court will instruct the jury that your decision cannot be used against you? Yes, ma'am. Do you understand if you choose to testify, you will be both examined by your counsel and cross-examined by either A.D. Hunter or Chief Assistant Smith? Yes. Do you feel that you need any additional time to think about whether or not you want to testify or not? But I did say that you're allowed to do that. You can communicate to the court on Monday what your decision is. Yes? Yes, okay. Thank you so much. Is there anything?
And that would be after the close of the state's...
Correct. Yes. Anything further?
Nothing further from the state, Judge.
Nothing from the state, Judge.
Okay, thank you all very much. I know it has been a long week for everybody. Do get some rest, and we'll report back.
Lots of rest for everybody.
Thank you all.
Okay, and on that note, we're going to go here. Where are we? Here. Right there. And Carla, thank you for holding all this time. How are you doing, Carla?
Good. How are you?
Wonderful.
So I spent just a few hours until I was kind of falling asleep. So I was like, okay, let me go before I'm kicked out of here.
Okay.
But so the jury. So interesting. Most of them had masks on, so I couldn't really see their, body language or anything. There is only one person that is white in the whole jury. Most are male and most are young.
Most are male and most are young.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And most are people of color. Only one white person. I couldn't even tell if it's either an older lady or an older male. But with the mask and the short hair, I really couldn't tell.
Okay. Yes.
The other thing that.
Sorry, I just, for those who are curious, Carla has eyes in the court. I didn't realize we didn't introduce you properly. Where were you sitting in the court? What was your vantage point?
So I sent you a text message.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you saw it. I was kind of like in the, you know that there are like 3 clusters, right? So I was kind of like in the middle one.
Yes. I see you. So, for those that are curious, if the prosecutor stood up, the chief prosecutor stood up in her chair, and if you looked right over her left shoulder in back, we could see Carla. So I can't show you because it would unplug my phone and then I'd lose you. But yeah, I've got a picture you sent me circled. So you're in the center by the aisle on the family side near the back.
Yep.
What's your thoughts about this courtroom and about have you been to other trials before, or is this your first one?
I had not. I've been watching trials for a long time, but it has always been like YouTube or TV.
Mm-hmm.
Gorgeous courtroom. It's gorgeous. Everybody was like really nice.
Yeah.
It seemed to me like the prosecutor is really, really strong. Like I could see when they would go to sidebars, like the prosecutor is definitely strong. The defendant is trying, the lawyer, really, really trying, but it seems like there's a lot of evidence that it's not in, that we just don't have it.
Yeah. So by our count, there have been 26 objections, and 24 of them have been ruled on in favor of the prosecution. So there are only 2 times the judge has sided with the defense on the objection, whether they made the objection or it was made by the other side. So we do see that off balance generally at the beginning of a trial. We saw that in the Maya trial as well with Judge Carroll. Everything was going the defense way at first, and then it switched. So your thoughts as far as the family, the people who are there in attendance. It seems that there's the families on one side and the family of the victims on one side and the family of the defendants on the other, and there's just viewers, interested people in the middle. Are they keeping them separate on purpose?
I don't know. I don't think it's on purpose. When I went in, the only thing that was available was kind of like the middle. So that's why I sat there. But yeah, there is on the right side of the courtroom, it's the victim's family, and on the left side of the courtroom, like if I'm actually in the courtroom, not from the TV. And if I'm on the left side is all of the family for Hannah. I didn't know. So Hannah is not in jail, right?
Right.
Seems
She's out on bond.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because she went in like, it was so interesting. I didn't even realize it was her when we came from lunch. She sat, she just went in, sat. And then after a while, then the lawyer came in and sat next to her.
Yeah. The lawyer's been late a couple times. Is the judge getting mad at him at all?
I haven't seen anything. The judge is so poised, elegant. She's gorgeous. She's even more gorgeous in person. Like it's very impressive. Yeah. But no, she seems very chill. I haven't seen her lose her patience at all. It seems to me like the lawyer is just like by himself. Like he asks Hannah a lot.
Yeah, she's helping
so he's
him.
kind of like lying.
Yeah,
Exactly.
like she's a paralegal for him.
That's what it seemed like.
So Carla, on our view, we were not able to see the video that was shot by the truck driver who was driving by, the one that was in the white tracksuit. Were you there to see that video that he filmed?
I left. No, I didn't see it.
Oh, no. I was hoping you could be our eyes. Describe it to us in detail.
Yeah, I left it right. We were all falling asleep, even the jury. There was one person in particular that was falling asleep, and the bailiff kept trying to kind of like wake him up.
Keep poking him with a stick. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Carla, are you gonna go back to court next week at all? Do you have plans, or are you tied up?
I'm gonna try. I can try to do that. I just have to kind of like look at the schedule, and if I find an afternoon, I'll go back. It was a really cool experience.
Well, I can tell you from my side, you gathered a ton of information. You did a wonderful job doing it, and you were very patient with me as well. So, Carla, thank you so much, and appreciate you calling and sharing that with us.
Sure, thanks.
All right, have a great weekend.
Take care. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Bye.
Bye. Love that. Carla called in. I saw the text after she called in. Kurt, I'm thinking 5 minutes, and we're wrapping up right now. I've got to be out of here by 5 anyway. So since court's over, we're gonna end things here and call it a weekend. 5 to 10 minutes is where we're at. Let's see. Is Carla in the purple sweater and the eyeglasses? Let me show you if I can show the picture of Carla really quickly. Just 1 minute here. Okay, here we go. This will autofocus, so this will work on full screen. This is Carla right here. Oops. There's Carla. She's circled right up there. See her right there? That's Carla. Okay, so thank you very much, Carla. That was amazing, and thank you for giving us that information. Thanks for calling in with that. All right, we've had some. This has been an interesting trial. I love this trial. It's brought some issues up that have been that we have a lot of strong opinions on both sides in chat, which we like that. And I will say, for the most part, everyone's been very respectful in how we share those opinions, and I can only say thank you for that. Thank you for I'm not asking anyone to give up their strongly held position, but to be able to share the information in a respectful way that other people can listen and learn from has been useful for all of us, and I commend all of you in doing this. Let's see. I will show you just really quickly. I think we've got. Do I have a Google map? I think I got a Google map. I do have a Google map. Okay, let me see if I can go to 7. There we go. Okay. Google Map, this is the intersection we're at. I'll have to get this on Google Earth instead. This is the intersection right here that we're talking about. There's the median. You can see that there's a median with the crosswalks all around. The right-hand turn lane going up here towards the top, that's the direction. Right here where the mouse was, it seems that's about in this area was where the accident happened. That's interesting because one of the witnesses, when they were pointing out on the camera, did point out that they were up here watching it, right by the freeway entrance. And so you just remember that there are people that think they had a better view than they did, or don't remember it exactly the same way. So all these are going to weigh into the jury as they're considering whether or not to, what weight to give the evidence they've heard. Go back here. All right. Anything else? I will say Kurt is getting ready to address. I believe you're addressing the Maya stuff. Let me see if I can do a redirect to you, Kurt. Just 1 second. And I think he sent me a link. Let's see. Okay, his stream is up. Let me find the link here really quickly. So, for those that aren't aware, yesterday, Dr. Joe Corcoran had Greg Anderson on from the Maya trial, and so I'm trying to convince Scott to do a chat about it with me. It doesn't take much convincing. We just tonight we have a date, and so maybe it'll have to be tomorrow. Let me get uncivil law on here on the redirect. So Dr. Joe had there he is. Boom. Dr. Joe had Greg Anderson on. They talked about this new motion from the defense, which is just bizarre and crazy, or in some people's minds, right on the money. Okay, there's some people out there. I've seen a couple comments of like, "Yep, that's what I thought." As soon as I saw that note, I thought, that looks like SS." I'm not one of those people, but it's good. Let's see who we have on the phone here. Just 1 second. We're about to wrap up.
The gifty guy.
The gifty guy. The gifty guy. How are you doing?
How you doing, buddy? Hey.
I'm doing well. Thank you
man,
so much.
I got some thoughts, bro.
Yeah, what's that?
So the biggest issue I have with the defense's case is, as a professional driver, if I see somebody take off from an accident and I know I have their tag number, I'm not going to pursue them in any way. And I don't see how they get past the point of that not being an aggressive action, that act of pursuing the suspect or the individual to start off with. I also, former military, am with you on your thoughts of I don't know how that path through the body that the bullet took, I don't understand how that happened with him sitting in the car.
Okay, so here's what I wanted to talk about that. Thank you for bringing that up. The one thing that was very telling when the officer first arrived on the scene and he looks in the car and we see the victim. First of all, that video was heart-wrenching. That is so hard to watch and hear. That experience, and imagining anyone who was there and going through that, trying to render aid as somebody who was in that condition. It was terrible.
Yeah.
But did you see his body was shifted? He was almost laying back into the passenger seat.
Okay, see, I didn't see that. I've been listening because I've been driving, so I haven't been watching. So I appreciate that description from you because I didn't. I'm going to go back and watch later. But
it's a very hard video to watch. It's not blurred out. You do see. I mean, it's not gory because there's almost no blood visible. Really,
right?
It's mostly internal is what happened with the bleeding, but you do see, and that was a concern I had because knowing how firearms work and how the gun cycles and how it can shoot and trajectory, basically the barrel shoots like a straight line, and the bullet should roughly follow that same straight line from the point that it was shot, and so you have to, if you can draw a line out from the body, you have to put the gun along that line. This is what we learned from the kennel videos and everything down by in the Alex Murdoch's trial.
You got that trajectory.
Yes, and so it didn't make sense with the steering wheel, with the angle, with being on the right side or the left side, but they're going up to the right. But now seeing his body in that position, it's like, okay. We imagine someone sitting in the driver's seat, hands on the wheel, face forward, but he could have literally been turned to the window to either fend off or attack, depending on how you want to view. He could have literally been turned and almost, facing exactly the Hannah. And then
I didn't see that video, so
so
that makes sense.
Great question, though.
All right, buddy. Well, I just wanted to pop in real quick and share some of my thoughts.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for the incredible generosity. You started the show off this morning with 50 gifts and then gave another 25 this afternoon. Thank you so much,
I'm happy to provide for the community, buddy.
Oh, so many people.
I'll keep dropping them here and there. So.
You're amazing. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Scott. Have a good one, buddy.
Bye.
Bye.
Awesome. That's one of our friends that we met from the Cavalcanti manhunt. So thank you very much. Let's see. Unpin that message. I think we're going to end right now. We're going to turn things over to Kurt. He's going to follow up on that conversation I was talking about Dr. Joe and Greg Anderson had about the motion from the defense about juror number 1 that's accusing him of SS. No, not the SS, not SA, but SS like Nazi SS. Seriously, the second time a Nazi reference has been brought up in this court, both times by the defense. So very, very interesting there. We've got a redirect for Kurt set up right now, so all we have to do now is play the music and dance our way out to the door. There we go. I imagine you all do dance as well, right? I do. I'm dancing in my chair. All right. Thank you to the amazing mods. Keep things happy and smooth in here. Thanks to all of you for making this a fun place to be. Thanks for welcoming all the new people. Thanks for those who gifted memberships. Harbauer, thank you very much. So many of those came from you and a few other people as well. And thanks to the new members for being here. So just thanks all around. Fun and funky, happy birthday. We sang to you yesterday. We sang to you this morning. I hope you're having a fantastic birthday. Thank you, and to everyone else that was a birthday as well. All right, we'll get talking with Homeschool Ground Zero, my wife, and see if we can do a joint stream and talk about some issues regarding jurors. We'll see if we can put some stuff together, and of course, we'll want your input and feedback and discussion throughout that as well. Of course, we'll need to have a mic for our setup. We'll get that. We'll get that set up. All right, date night. I'm going to dress up. Yes, we'll take a picture. Thanks to all in chat. Thank you. All right, when you go pop over to Kurt's stream, first thing you do, even if you're not able to stay very long, please just click the like button. Say hi. Do something in chat. Just cheer him on a little bit, because it's hard work what he does. He's a smart guy, but he's doing work. And we love him. Thank you very much. Kurt, look forward to you having a great stream tonight. I'll try to pop in just for a minute in chat, but Buffer, her clothes are out of the dryer now. Okay, now I can get ready. Thank you, Amber. Appreciate it. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. And we'll see you back here on Monday. We're starting at 9 o'clock on Monday. We might have something on Saturday. Don't hold me to that. You guys be good to each other. We'll see you later. Bye.
Because he's the guy.